Well, I can't believe he says we. He's one of those guys that say we. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
say
weird.
we. I say we. I'm 40 years old. I've been a fan for like 34 years. Is there a guy on the team who's been on there for 34 years? I don't care. I don't care. It's like, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. One bit. We can lose this game.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience presented by Underdog Fantasy. Week 2 picks against the spread. Game preview. Survivor picks. Not from Geoff, though. He's out of here. And then Super Locks, free money, and all the fun stuff. And a mini edition of Cust Corner coming at you. You can always hit the time codes and jump around. Smash a like and sub to the channel while you are here. I might do a giveaway for 50,000 subs on YouTube. So the more you can subscribe to get us close to that 50K number, the more time I don't have to come up with giving you guys money for doing so. But I do have $500 to give away from everyone who subscribed, left a rating, and reviewed the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast on Apple and or Spotify, making us a top 10 sports or fantasy sports podcast, at least inside the United States and Canada. So thank you all for tuning back in to football season. The winner is Jay Van Drews. Congratulations. DM me on like Instagram or something. Those ones are open if you really want to. Or mayomediainc@gmail.com. You hit me up. I will hook you up with $500 cash if you have PayPal. If you don't have PayPal, then, beat it. Do that kind of thing. Geoff Fienberg, a great week one for you. Not picks-wise, but Chargers-wise.
Yeah. I mean, I flirted around 500. Some of the bigger ones took a, I lost one of my 2 circa survivor entries, my survivor with you guys. That was tough. Yeah, but I'm okay. I'm doing good. I think every single push went against me, Pat. And you know the dumbest thing I said last week? Because that might be a hard question. But what do you think the dumbest thing I said last week was?
When I said, Geoff, what's your super lock? And you said, Carolina +4.
Okay, that is close. And I could see why people would think that's the super lock. And hey, if Carolina was +17, I still lose that bet. The dumbest thing I said. When we did Seattle, Denver, the line moved to 6 on me. I said, oh, it doesn't matter. 5.5, 6. It doesn't. Give me 6. I'd rather 6. I think I said something so dumb. I'd rather 6. And boy, did I eat that. Because that really, that lost me money. But yeah, whatever. I'm here. I'm probably doing better than Tim. So we'll take that.
The coin is in studio as well, and Cust was 1 game away from winning his kickoff to football free money teaser. Alas, the Jets did not cover. On the line right now is Tim Undercust.
Tim Andergust.
That's not my name.
You almost had it. Almost had it.
Sort of, kind of, but not really. That game was never really... Once we got into the late into the second quarter, it was kind of clear I probably wasn't going to get the cover. So it's not like a bad beat. Losing my super lock, which was the Rams +3.5, was kind of a bad beat. I don't feel the same about the free money teaser.
Yeah, it was weird because the record from last week, I was 9-4, so I was the winner of the week, and I was the only one of us to hit our super lock because I had Philly against Green Bay on Friday night in Brazil. Geoff, you were 6-7. Cust was 5-8. The coin in second place with 7-6 as the record. There were 3 pushes last week.
All against me.
You could say it either way.
No, all bad beats. The Rams, to not cover the Rams.
The Rams wasn't even a push. That was just a loss.
To not cover to not cover the Titans.
That also wasn't a push. That was just an objectively bad beat.
Yes, I know. Everything just I just lost all these things. Really frustrating. Really frustrating. And the pushes, none of them were my friend. None of them.
Tim, you and I made it out of Survivor alive, although it wasn't without a sweat with Seattle and Buffalo.
Nope, it certainly wasn't.
Could have been worse.
There were very few teams that looked commanding last week. It's true. There's like a handful, and we didn't pick either of them.
No, we most certainly did not. I guess the Saints actually was the answer. The Saints and Vikings were the 2 answers to the test, Geoff.
Yeah, if you wanted stress free, but it's just survive in advance. You know, they don't look at you're not looking at the box score if you're still alive at Thanksgiving. You're just still alive. But
Yeah.
a lot of sloppiness around the league. What a just it's easy to say after the fact, but just what an amateurish, like relying on the Bengals, just so stupid. And they did everything they could. Once that doofus fumbled walking in the end zone, you knew it was going to be a day. You just knew it.
Well, I went 3-2 in the circa millions because Tennessee screwed me, and then I had the Jets on Monday night, so nothing I can really do about that. It was just a bad pick because Tim. I mean, we'll get to when we get to the Jets, but I do want to bring it up now. You were mocking Tua as a dink and dunk artist, and then we brought up the next gen stats. He had 6 throws for over 20 yards. His ADOT was actually pretty high, and then we showed you Aaron Rodgers' passing chart. He is the master of the dink and dunk.
Yeah, sort of. But like the pass he threw on the touchdown to Lazard was one of the 5 best throws of the week. So I don't feel too bad about it.
Against like the prevent D of San Francisco?
It wasn't prevent D at that point. The second touchdown was a prevent D touchdown, but that wasn't by Rodgers. That was by Tyrod. No, I mean we'll get to when we get to it. But like I don't take away much sadness from that game, and I really don't feel too bad about that game.
Really?
Okay.
Because
why should I?
Rodgers in week 1 last year, Rodgers had essentially the same stats as Zach Wilson.
All I need is a quarterback who isn't washed. And now the question of him being washed is off the table completely now. The question is like, is he a top 15 QB or is he a top 8 QB?
He might be.
That's an open debate, but the question of like, is he just done for? Like that question we can now permanently take off the table. That makes me feel good.
Okay. I don't think we're fully established, but maybe he isn't washed, but maybe he's a pirate because according to the shot tracker, he was wearing a Pirates patch. He only threw to one half of the football field.
Well, look, when you're getting dominated, when you're getting dominated in the trenches, as they did last night, like that changes how you're going to attack a defense.
They could have really used your boy Becky. What happened to him?
No, they had a lot of problems. Look, you go up against what is one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the NFL, and you get beat in their place. It's gonna happen. Happens all the time. Really good teams get really beaten by really good teams.
But
like the Niners a couple years ago crushed a Green Bay team that like played them again in the playoffs. These things happen. The better team won. The better team rolled.
But you said that San Francisco wasn't good coming into the year. You hated them.
That's not true. I picked them to win
Under.
the division. I picked them in our win totals pool. I didn't think they were going to be the best team in the NFC, and I think I said this on Twitter, if not before, like there were a lot of takeaways from last night, but to me, the vast majority of the takeaways were about San Francisco. There's no Super Bowl hangover there. That team is as good as anybody.
The one thing I will give Jets a lot of credit for, and I think I actually put this out there as well, at the PME, follow along, is that when Rodgers threw like a 14-yard crossing route to Garrett Wilson and he caught it, it was like a stress-free catch. He just threw it to him. He caught it. It wasn't like some amazing achievement, which I feel like is what we've seen from the Jets offense the past few years. It's like, oh my God, a 14-yard pass. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So that stress has to be gone for you. Although
the offense is going to be fine. I'm not super worried about the offense. You don't play teams as talented on both sides of the ball as San Francisco very often. I got concerns about our run stopping. I got concerns about some of our run blocking, but you don't play teams as good as San Francisco often. So we'll see in the next couple of weeks when we play teams that aren't nearly as good as the 49ers, whether these problems are isolated to, you just played one of the team went to the Super Bowl last year, been to a couple Super Bowls recently, and are just physically dominant.
Geoff, you have a strategy for week 2? Like, are you zagging big time on teams that like look really terrible, maybe betting on them? You want to ride the train, or is it going to be a mix and match?
I just try not to overreact.
But we will. We all inevitably overreact. I'm doing a power ranking.
Don't overreact.
But
don't overreact to the overreactions. That's where people get lost. Don't overreact by saying, "Oh, the whole world is going to be on the Chiefs, so I need to take the Bengals." You don't need to be that. That is just as dumb as saying, "Oh, I've got to take the Chiefs because the Bengals look terrible." Both of those are overreactions in the wrong way.
I'm sure we'll both or all of us will get, use multiple games where we'll say that's an overreaction, that's high. And other games we say, I don't care about the overreaction. I am not trusting that team. So I'll probably like be on both sides of that. There'll be games where I'll call out the overreactions, and there'll be games where I'll like just no, I'm going with that team. That team looks like they're dead fish, and I don't want to bet them, be it injury or some situation. But yeah, I mean, week 1 was fine, wasn't great. Week 2, week 3, they're dangerous betting weeks. They're dangerous betting weeks historically. So just try to be responsible. I didn't bet Carolina at the half. Me and my buddies were joking, getting there at halftime, just saying like, hey, we should bet the 27. And I was very responsible. I said, you know what? I lost 1 bet on Carolina today. It was probably for a little more than I wanted. Like, I don't need to lose 2 bets on Carolina.
You were out grabbing some fresh air, hitting your nicotine fix in your vape.
Yeah, just listen. It gets very you can get a lot of guys in a dungeon, a lot of TVs. Should have opened the window. It's week 1 for us as well. So gotta get it come up for air every once in a while.
Reminder to everyone out there to subscribe to the Mayo Media newsletter. It's completely free. That's down in the description right now. And you will get this show, Tuesday night instead of Wednesday morning, if that's how you want to watch it. I know a lot of people do, so go sub to that right now. And of course, there's other things in there. I'll have some betting trends in there. A couple of them I'll give out on the show as we go through, but they'll all end up being in the newsletter this week. The golf bets will be in there too, because I've already done the golf betting show. And Geoff, I am doing the power rankings, team power rankings with Seeley every Monday morning now. It's the cure to what I was ever going to do for a Monday show. I think I found it.
Yeah, I liked it, except no one wants to be in the mid, but
no, I think we're just going to do 1 through 32 now.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, we didn't talk enough about the Chargers for you.
You didn't talk. No, listen, there's just a lot of. I'm just saying, just like okay, you had the poors, you had the rich, but there's this mid that's a lot of us are swimming in. I was like, okay,
you got a full Monday press conference, and you come on here and complain about people not talking enough about the Chargers.
No,
Talk about not counting your blessings.
I just would have suggested to Pat, by the way, the like 10, 12, 15 minute, like short hitters. Love it. Love it.
You're enjoying those. I feel like that's for the use of the world. And if I didn't do this full time, it would be for me. It's like, I don't need to hear Pat and Jake talk for an hour and 20 minutes about pickups and injury news. How about 6 minutes with just Pat?
I don't want to listen, I'm part of the longest show on the network. But I feel like sometimes I'm not agreeing with Tim overall, but sometimes like long shows just feel like a commitment. Like I want to get through it. I love the guys, but it is a commitment, and we love everyone out there that makes it. When it's like a 12-minute thing, I just hit it. Like there's no commitment, that's all. So I'm really into those, and I wasn't complaining about it. I was just suggesting to Pat, I think you should just read off the whole league. And he said it before I even mentioned it.
Yeah,
so
we didn't have like a set plan going. I was like, hey, rank top 10, rank bottom 10, and we'll go from there and see how it goes. But after doing the show, I think that's probably the format that we should stick with. And I'll throw the pickups. Like everything's in the newsletter. I update it every single day. Like if you're just looking to see who's hurt and what their prognosis is, just click on the newsletter and it'll be updated in there. When guys get hurt, I update it. The rankings are going to be in there as well. So the newsletter is where a lot of fun stuff is at. And I always have special stuff in there too. Tim, did you know code Mayo will get you a $1,000 deposit bonus, up to at least, on Underdog Fantasy if you use that?
Well, if I didn't, the people know now.
Yeah, that they do. So let's jump into Thursday Night Football. I'll have some underdog picks later on in the week. But right now, Miami is a 2-point favorite at home against the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is going to play. No word yet on the injuries to Colonel Mostert and Devin 8-Chan, your guy, Geoff. 4-Chan, 8-Chan. You're all over this guy, but they didn't practice in the theoretical practice on Monday. We don't have the update yet. So they might both be out. They might both be playing. This we do not know. Each of the past 3 road games against the Dolphins with the Bills have gone under the total by at least 13 points. Does that surprise you?
Quite surprised. I was surprised how low scoring the Dolphins game was last week, truth be told. But there have been a lot of injuries when these teams have had to meet recently, right? On both sides of the ball. So it doesn't seem like we've ever, feels like it's been a while since we've truly really gotten Dolphins versus Bills as the teams we know they are. Maybe Paul can tell me that's my perception and I'm wrong, but that's just how I feel. A lot of injuries again, too. The Dolphins, the Bills lost their like an all-pro nickel corner, and Dolphins injury report's already full. I'm going to take the Bills. Battle of first place. I lean Buffalo.
Over the past decade, Tim, the Dolphins are the 4th worst team in primetime against the spread with a 39% cover rate.
I didn't know that. It doesn't shock me. The Dolphins don't seem to win very many primetime games. I'd love if somebody could call up what Tua's record is in primetime, because I can't remember. Other than the Black Friday game, which is sort of an afternoon game, I can't remember the last time Tua won a primetime game. It's been
We're not
while.
giving him that.
I mean, you can if you want, sure.
And Rodgers doesn't get the loss because he didn't finish the game. So I actually still have Rodgers as 0-0 on the season.
That's BS.
Oh, I thought that was your rule.
No, it's not my rule.
You've played with Tua wins and losses on games he doesn't finish.
Games that he was getting benched in, not like, okay, the game was over, take a rest. It's not the same.
No,
thing.
last year on this show, you didn't give him credit for that 70-point Denver win because he didn't play the whole game. They took him out.
I don't remember doing that. I'm sure I was just bittered about something. What difference does it make if A-Chain and Mostert are out? I mean, I've seen third-string running backs run for 250 yards in primetime this season, so that wouldn't surprise me to see it again. I'll take Buffalo in a game where I wish both teams could lose, but they can't. So I just think talent-wise, Josh Allen is just too much of a problem for the Miami Dolphins defense, and I don't think if the Dolphins anyway, I just don't think the Dolphins have the capacity to stop Buffalo. And I don't trust Tua to make big plays in a big game. When these two teams played at the end of the year last year, so relatively recently in terms of like football distance, the Bills took a lead and the Bills finished them off and won the division in Miami. So I got my doubts that Miami can. The spread I think is wrong. I think the wrong team is favored. I think it should be Buffalo by 2 points. And so you're telling me Buffalo +2? Great, give me Buffalo.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning where you're at. I'm going to take Miami -2 in this game. They're 5-1 in September the last 2 years against the spread as well, and the under's always kind of hitting those games. And as Geoff mentioned, like it wasn't as high of a scoring game against Jacksonville as maybe we thought. Maybe that had to do with the heat, but it just seemed like Miami's defense, Geoff, may have been better than we expected. Because Buffalo's wasn't.
No, Buffalo's was really bad, and Allen clearly is already going to be dealing with something.
He has a hand injury.
Was it tough? I don't feel like good about this. I will force a bet on Thursday because it's a TV game of two teams that I'm highly entertained by. I will certainly be watching it, and I'll bet on it recreationally. I don't feel good about having to pick a side at all.
I just think about, can the Bills stop this offense with their big play potential? Maybe they'll have a few 3-and-outs here and there, but between Tyreek and Waddle, it feels like they get behind the Bills defense 3 times, Tim.
Sure. So let's give them 24 points. They lose.
I don't know about
I think
that.
they lose. Losing Tyron Johnson, the corner, like they're going to run those crossers to death. Like
I don't know. The one thing
Bills
McDermott knows how to do, I think, is scheme pretty well against the Dolphins. I'm not worried. We'll see.
Paul, are you worried? Because Tim's not worried. I don't think Paul had his mic set up.
That's fine.
Jalen Phillips, Defensive Player of the Year. It's not a bet I have, but when I watch football on Sundays, there's like the TJ Watt category. But everyone beyond that, like Jalen Phillips is truly, I think, going to be in this next tier if he's healthy this year. Yeah, going to be. I think he already is, clearly.
Well,
So
I know that Sanders missed the kick and it was a really bad miss too on Sunday. But when it comes down to the fringes and it's like a 2-point game, I would rather Miami's kicking situation over no class Tyler Bass. That was a talking point for Paul in the preseason, how worried everyone was about the Bills kicker.
Yeah, they were. I heard it on Buffalo radio. It was a thing.
Or maybe it was you who kept bringing it up. I don't know. Anyway, so
I brought it up one time, but yeah, it might have been me who brought it up. But he missed some kicks in the preseason, and honestly, missing kicks, that seems embarrassing because people don't miss kicks anymore.
Unless they play for Washington. Unless they play for Washington, then they get cut.
I'm taking Miami. The three of you, coin included, are all on Buffalo. Let's move to Sunday, where there's 72 early games. New Orleans at Dallas. Dallas is favored by 6.5 at home here. 45.5 is the over-under. One thing I did not factor into me betting the Saints to win the division, Geoff, was Clint Kubiak took the Saints from the team that ran the fewest amount of pre-snap motion to the team that runs the most pre-snap motion of anyone. But I can't parse whether it was just against crappy Carolina, whatever. Carolina sucks. This is a real game. Do you think they'll be able to run an efficient offense against Dallas?
Last year, the Saints week 1, they annihilated the Titans, almost not nearly, but kind of maybe similar to what happened yesterday on Sunday. It's hard. The Saints are clearly the first year I get off the Saints. They might be the team. You're the NFC South whisperer. I might lean with the overreaction here and take the inflated, lay the points with Dallas. I don't know how to trust the Saints yet. Maybe I should, but I didn't. Beating Carolina, it's just still an unknown, and that's probably not fair. And I like Carolina. And maybe I'm just sad. I turned on the Saints, and I have regret already a week into the year.
See, I like New Orleans, Tim, but I'm taking Dallas -6.5 here. I don't think it's enough points because I don't think that New Orleans is actually that good. It's just they happen to play the worst possible team in the league in a really good spot for them. And they're going to beat up on some crappy teams. Their defense is going to look good against a crappy offense. Dallas, I can't say that they have an elite defense. They might have an elite defense, but I don't know. Shutting down Deshaun Watson looks like great on you in terms of how strong you are. It's hard for us to tell, but their offense looked pretty good. It looked very efficient in what they were doing with their running back rotation. So I like Dallas -6.5. But here's a fun one for you. Over the past 12 seasons, New Orleans is 1-11 against the spread.
In what?
In week 2.
Oh.
Well, make it 2-11 then.
Oh, you like New Orleans, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see. Again, I found that the Dallas-Cleveland game, I didn't get a whole lot to feel one way or the other about Dallas. I just had a lot of opinions about Cleveland after that game. I didn't think Dallas came out there looking like one of the best teams. I feel the same about Dallas I felt before. They're an above-average team who will compete for a playoff spot, but the 6.5 just seems like a bit too much. I will take the Saints.
The Saints could be dealing with a hurricane this week.
I saw that.
They'll get out of it. They'll get to Dallas, but it could obviously affect the practice schedule. And I think we've historically seen, this is totally anecdotal, and I don't even just perception, not anecdotal. Sorry, that there's just concern for family back home or something, and we never see teams that, even though they're flying away from the hurricane in their town, never seems to go well. So just something to watch for this weekend.
Don't forget, too, the Cowboys are a better team at home. They were 8-0 at home last year.
Except for the playoffs, of course, when they got their doors blown off at home. So, I don't think a whole lot.
I don't see. Is this a playoff game?
Yeah,
no, but
furthest thing from the playoff.
We time warped here.
Yeah, and Cleveland was fantastic at home all last season, and then they played terribly week 1. I don't think that transfers over year to year. At least I don't think there's much in that at all, if any. Sorry, I just don't buy that.
And in 2002, let's see here, the Cowboys were 8-1 at home, so they're 16-1 in their past 16 or 16,
okay.
Their past 17 home games.
I don't know that they're going to win. Although I wouldn't be shocked if New Orleans won, but I don't think they're going to. I think it's going to be 27-23, something like that.
Yeah, this is a short list super lock for me, Geoff.
Seems dumb.
Well, you're not Geoff. I'm asking Geoff.
Yeah, I don't know that it's there for me, but you seem to have a good feel for what's going on here early based on last week.
Well, that means it usually flips, and I'll go 3-13 this week. Just keep that in mind too.
But I am with you. I am on Dallas. I could see this one getting away. I wouldn't feel comfortable even betting the Saints in teasers.
Tampa and Detroit. Detroit is a 7-point favorite, coming off a shorter week, I suppose, than the Buccaneers are. 51.5 is the over-under. Amon-Ra was basically not used in that game. So the Rams did a good job of scheming away from him, or just that Jamison Williams was completely wide open every single time, and they were able to effectively run the ball. It's hard for me to grasp if the Bucs offense is actually as good as it seemed. They scored on each of their first 5 possessions against Washington, against Washington, that they were able to beat up on one of the bottom 5 teams in the league with maybe a bottom 3 defense. Detroit's defense, though, did not look very good.
No, I think it's a fair line. I don't have a strong opinion on this game at all. I will say I felt like Detroit probably got a little lucky on Sunday night. I don't know that they were the better team. They started out great, and then the game got away, and then they were desperately trying to give that game away. And Geoff was trying to give that game away, and the Rams couldn't quite take it, which was a little disappointing for me. I will take Detroit, I guess, with no confidence though. I wouldn't touch this game.
Yeah, this is going to be a very difficult one to figure out. Jeff, did these teams play in the playoffs last year? My memory's really bad.
Yes, they did.
What was the
I
score?
believe it was a 6-point game.
Was it one of those ones where Tampa
Or
backdoored
8-point
it?
game. No, I don't think so. Like, I think
They
Tampa
played the
scored
Rams, then they
make
played
it
the Bucks.
I'm gonna look it up.
And so
The Lions.
they just gave them their playoff schedule from last year for the first 2
Yeah,
weeks?
you're right.
Do they
If
play
they
San
play
Francisco
San
next
Fran-
week?
It was the divisional round, so it was a second round game.
Yeah.
The Bucks lost Winfield, and their secondary sucks. And Dan Quinn, rookie making his first start, couldn't really show for it. Great stress-free win at home last week for Tampa. I'm going to lay the 7 with Detroit. I am slightly more confident than Tim. It's nothing I love, but I just think they can pick apart at home Ben Johnson. He'll just scheme it. He'll just carve it up. He'll just carve it up good. I should say this when we mentioned the Rams, but that was the best quarterbacking I have seen in a long time. The second half of Stafford. Maybe we just watched lots of bad quarterbacking last week, but it was truly magnificent. He is so underrated still.
He's going to go to the Hall of Fame, though. I don't know how underrated he could be.
Jeff is right, though. When people talk about the best QBs in football right now, that oftentimes Stafford comes up a couple of minutes in, and people go, "Oh yeah, Stafford," because he isn't the modern quarterback. He doesn't run much. He's a classic pocket passer. He's he's like a stand-up goalie rather than a butterfly goalie. You don't see people like him very often, but he's as good as anybody when he's playing at his best.
I don't know if he's as good as anybody when he's playing
Just
at his
about.
best. I don't think he's
just
as good
about
as
he won the Super Bowl.
I don't think he's as good as Mahomes, for example.
No, he's not as good as Mahomes. But in
that's
terms
not really
of
what that sentence means, right? It
that
means
performance,
beat anybody when he's playing his best.
that
really
half of football was, again, even big games. It was as good of a performance from that position as I feel like we've watched in a long time. I'm going to take Detroit here. They did not deserve that one last week. Happy for Tampa, though. Nice win.
Yeah, they beat up on a bad team. We'll see how they do against a real team this week. I'm going to take Detroit as well, -7.
Tampa could just be the exact same team they were last year, which will put them in a really fine spot.
Agreed.
And
if they're the same team they were last year, they probably win the division again.
great. I'm glad I have them in the win picks total group.
You're only bringing this up because you're tied for first after 1 week, aren't you?
hey, you brought it up twice in the show.
I looked at the teams this morning when someone tweeted. I was like, you know what? I have an excellent roster. I feel really good about what I have. And I looked at yours, Jeff. Like, oh boy, I wouldn't trade mine for Jeff's at all.
Well, that's fair. If I lose, it'll happen. Maybe I won it last year, and I was slow out of the gates last year.
And you had
So
Carolina.
I was like a stalking horse. But yeah, I don't feel. It's funny. We probably did that 2 weeks ago, and yeah, I don't know. Again, don't want to overreact in the games I actually bet because The teams I liked 2 weeks ago, I don't know why. They don't seem as cool anymore.
Indy is at Green Bay. Green Bay is expected to start Malik Willis at quarterback, thus making them 3.5-point dogs at home against Indy. 41 is the total, or 42 is the total, sorry. That's gone up. It's went from 41 to 42 in the last hour as we go over and look at this. What was the game that Malik Willis started on Sunday Night Football? He covered against the Chiefs, didn't he? Didn't he bring them to overtime once?
Yes, it was on Sunday Night Football.
Just feel like this is a lot here. And apparently Jordan Love could be back as soon as next week because they're not putting him on injured reserve, which is mind-boggling.
Well, yeah, because you don't put him on injured reserve, he has to miss 4 straight games.
I understand.
So if he's only going to be out 3 games, then you would never put him on IR.
Yeah, but
if he's going to miss 3.
They haven't even officially ruled him out this week yet. I mean, he's not going to play this week. They haven't ruled him out yet.
Okay.
Just I found that surprising based on what looked like his knee popped out. I know it's only a knee sprain, but it looked pretty devastating. Do you have any faith in Malik Willis to cover this number, Geoff?
I actually think he sucks.
Okay.
That's the problem. He takes a lot of sacks for a guy that fast or athletic, which I'm not disputing. He shouldn't take the amount of sacks that he has to take. But Pat, it's early in the year, and this is just like me on principle in backing the Packers. Do I believe the Packers are a good team? Yeah, I think they're a really good team, a great roster. I'm not Cam Stewart. And it'll be interesting what he has to say about Willis tomorrow. But I love betting on a good team getting the backup in the first game. I do. It's one of my favorite spots to bet on. I don't even care if it's good anymore. I get enjoyment out of it. And I will. I'm on the Packers here. I'll take these points at home with the backup.
Not sure if Josh Downs is going to be playing in this game, but that didn't really seem to make that big of a difference. Tim, the Packers should just use the Colts strategy of playing quarterback. Little dump downs and bombs. Like they do with Anthony Richardson. They should just do that with Malik Willis.
I don't know what you do with Malik Willis. I don't know how you get the team ready to play with a guy whose playing style is so much different
Extra days.
than Jordan Love's. An extra day or two. One of those is completely burned up on the travel, and getting reacclimatized after a long trip flying. I don't know. It's not a game I don't feel super strongly on. But given that I'm going to get the hook, which is relatively new, I will take the 3.5 and go with the Packers. Don't love it though.
I don't love it either. I'm going to do the same thing and take the plus 3.5. If Love is playing in this game, Geoff, what's the line? Green Bay by what? 3.5? Is he worth 7 points?
Yeah, I want to say the advance, what was out there a week ago, would have been like 4.5.
So
which
eight,
I believe
8
is what
points. It's a lot of points.
Well, the difference between him and the gap between him and Malik, not the gap between him and a regular, normal backup. If they had if they had Gardner Minshew, for example, I want to fight about how good he is, then this spread is probably 2.5, not 3.5, right? So it's not that he's worth 7 points; it's that the drop between him to Willis is 7.5 points.
I mean, that you're basically, if it was Gardner Minshew, the Packers would still be favored in this game.
I don't think so.
That's how good of a backup that he is, and it would be a revenge game for Gardner Minshew. So basically, you're calling Malik Willis one of the 5 worst backups in the league.
I think he probably is,
but Matt LaFleur,
handsome.
we all think is really
handsome.
Good.
Yeah, and handsome.
And this could be like a tour de force performance, just getting Willis to make the easy throws, scheming the stuff, getting him out sideways, shortening where he's got to make the reads. I'm almost trusting LaFleur and the roster to carry us home with the points.
What did you make of Green Bay's D? They stopped Barkley enough. He had a couple, that field was just outrageous to begin with. So I have no idea how good their defense is going to look. But as much as the Colts are fun, they're not the Eagles' offense either.
I think you can take. I don't know if you can take anything away from the Brazil game.
The thing I would take away from the Brazil game is that instead of using the tush push from in close a whole bunch of times, they felt very comfortable giving it to Barkley instead.
Sure, and think that there are still concerns about not having Jason Kelsey there. That's going to continue to rear its head for a while. But in terms on the Packers side of things, I don't know. I didn't learn a whole lot.
Now, if their defense can show up, their defense on paper is better than Houston's defense. If they can just take away some of those huge plays, I mean, it's hard to defend a back foot 65 air yard pass that Anthony Richardson can unleash at any time, or if he gets outside. Like, if they can just contain Jonathan Taylor and play too high and take away those deep passes, I don't really have much faith in this Colts offense, Geoff. That this could just be like 13-10, and then the Packers cover.
What the first I guess the Saints had that big touchdown early.
Shaheed, yeah. So that's when I
And
thought
it
my
was
gambling
fun.
day was going to go great.
But how, like, the Colts Texans started on the big screen for us. And that Richardson throw after he lost his balance and just heaved it. Oh my God. Like the anticipation of a ball in the air like that feeling in your belly. Oh, I love ball so much. I was sitting on the couch watching it. I'm scared about the Colts. Some of it was concerning. Joe Mixon looked like a new man. And
He touched the ball 33 times in the
Yeah.
game. Like Taylor looked
You give
better than Joe
anybody,
Mixon
yeah.
did.
he looked pretty spry. I didn't like that. I don't know, every time my eyes peeled to the TV, it seemed like he was moving. I like the Colts, but I think every week's going to be a bit of a wild card situation.
An update from that Miami game, Achane and Mostert both didn't practice again today. The official report just came out as I'm going through this. So 3 of us on Green Bay. Coin is on Indy. Coin loves the road dogs so far this week, or the road favorites this week. Just everyone on the road. Jets in Tennessee. Geoff, I hate Tennessee. I hate them so much. I hate Will Levis. He's on the list. Just like I hate this guy's guts. Fucking Moonraker. Oh.
Yeah, that was truly the worst. I golfed with Pizzola today. He was great. Wasn't my day. I don't know. Didn't feel good out there. Lovely day. Lovely day. But I asked Rob, you do this for a living. Like, how do you make any sense of that? And he's like, he's just he'll go 50. The plan is to go 50-50 on like the insanity. And then his numbers will win him enough money on every game that doesn't have insanity. So that's how he explained to me, the questions that I ask him, in terms of, how can you just do it for a living when there's just so potential for so much stupidness in every single game? That was sickening. Like my whole room had money on that Titans game. And then, as I told you, like we're all buddies, one of my college roommates, Le Titan, and then the whole room just like turns on him. We just turn on the guy, which is kind of mean and funny at the same time. But we had to get our Will Levis hate out on someone, and we took it out.
The Jets are favored by 3.5 on the road. 41 is the over-under, Tim. Much like Kirk Cousins looked against Atlanta, Rodgers looked slow, is one thing I'll point out. Like, he didn't have that like spry first step to get away from anyone. I actually thought the Titans defense played great against Caleb Williams. Now, he might just reek in his first start and they get like overinflated because of it, but I thought they performed pretty well.
I think they were fine. Caleb was okay, but he was a rookie. Like, you don't expect a rookie to play great.
He had the fewest amount of passing yards of any first-round quarterback since 2000 in his first game.
Anyone drawing any conclusions about anything to do with Caleb Williams out of that game is out of their minds. We're talking about the Jets here. I don't know. I don't need Rodgers to be super fast. I need him to just be able to stand there to deliver the ball on third downs and not turn the ball over. Like, this is a good test to see where the Jets are, because last night they couldn't answer. They kept trying to run the ball because they need to run the ball to set up big plays. And they kept asking questions, and the 49ers secondary front had the answer each time. They get dominated on both sides of the ball. That's the only thing that concerned me last night, when it's kind of the most important thing in some ways, is you can't get controlled at the line of scrimmage like that. So we'll see Now, Tennessee's a much weaker opponent. They should be able to force Levis into making some bad decisions. Purdy's bad decisions were all, just throw it out of bounds. Or when he was under pressure, and say bad decisions. Under pressure, he just got rid of the ball and didn't take any chances. Levis is less likely to be so prudential. So hopefully we can force him into a couple bad decisions. And I am going to take the Jets here. I think the Jets make sense here. It seems like a decent bounce back spot. We'll see. I'm not going to overreact from 1 week. I refuse to. I didn't see a lot last night that made me really upset. Beyond the fact that I was concerned with the run defense in particular. This is only one real big concern for me. It's we cannot play like that up front. And Saul is a good defensive coach. He should be able to get that somewhat fixed in a week. So
I was watching it without the sound on because I was running on the treadmill, but it seemed like there was one point. I think it was late second half or late second quarter, early third quarter or something. It looked like Breece Hall had a first down, which would have extended the drive pretty easily, and they didn't get it on fourth. And he could have easily challenged and won it. He just didn't.
Well, I don't know why they need to challenge it, because earlier in the game there was a first down catch that was taken away because the eye in the sky saw it. So it's not even clear to me what the rules are on that anymore, because now the booth upstairs can just overturn a call right away. So, yeah, it was a first down and it ended up being a pretty consequential drive, but I don't get upset about it because, they were not going to win the game.
Okay, maybe not, but this is a history of Bobby Saleh making just terrible challenge decisions.
Oh, well, no, I'm not here to defend. Robert Saleh is awful at everything to do with coaching except for the defensive scheming that he usually puts together. So, and that's what I need him for most right now. I feel like Rodgers, and there's enough veterans around that it'll be fine. He just needs to fix that defense a little bit, because last night the defense let everybody down.
Jeff,
how good is the Titans defense?
I don't know. I have no idea how good the Titans
but
defense
it might
is.
Be good.
It might be it might be really good for all we know.
Really good. Yeah.
We'll find out.
So that's one of the interesting unknowns for me, because they looked incredible. And then you look at some of the talent and you're like, okay, yeah, I could see why this is going to be quite a strong unit. Tim, though, really long road trip to start the year, and then come home, and then have to go to go to Nashville, and then have to play a Thursday nighter next week. What's Park Avenue doing?
Well, it's actually not bad. If you want the short rest, you want it in September. I have the numbers on this one. Over the past 5 seasons, a team on short rest, 5 or fewer days, is actually 13-15 against the spread, 46.4% against teams on normal or extended rest of 6+ days in September. And all other months, oh no, I have that wrong. It's actually worse to be in September, Tim. I'm sorry, because it's a 55% cover rate on short rest.
But half the guys on the offense didn't play yesterday. They just didn't play. So they're completely rested. Mike Williams feels like as fresh as a daisy.
Well,
so
I don't think he was playing.
I'll tell you who looked good last night. Braylon, when they gave him the ball at the end of the game, the rookie running back, he actually looked like he had some play. I'd like to see them work him into the offense a little bit. He could be an interesting guy to bring in on third downs.
You'd like to take Breece Hall off the field, is what you're saying.
No, you can put both of them in there. Breece is good at catching the ball. You can absolutely.
I absolutely do not think that the Jets' offense is prepared to start running two running back sets out there. They're not bad. They're
absolutely
not bad
in the shotgun. In the shotgun to have a running back on each side.
I understand theoretically how it works. I just don't think the Jets' offense is up to snuff that way.
They most certainly are.
Really? That was your takeaway? Wasn't there milquetoast offense where Rodgers only threw to 2 people all night?
No, honestly, there was nothing from that game offensively that got me all that concerned.
They had one
because I only had one thing I needed. I only had one thing I needed to care about, and I was able to check that box, and I was able to move on.
What is that?
Do I have at least a middle of the pack quarterback? Do I have that? Yes, I do. That's all I need. Let's move on.
Would you not, Jeff, would you not be concerned that Rodgers looked somewhat slow? Wasn't part of his ability to be MVP and reach these heights?
He's 40. He's going to be slow.
I understand that, but
he doesn't need to be fast. He just needs to be not terrible. That's all I need.
Part of him being good and not terrible is his quickness and being able to buy time and move around in the pocket. If you turn him into a fucking statue, he's not Matt Stafford. He's not 6'5" and slinging it around.
He wasn't a statue.
He was a statue.
He was neither as fast as he was when he won the MVP, and he was nowhere close to a statue.
He looked like Kirk Cousins out there.
No, that's not true. You didn't watch
I'm
the
not
game, Kevin.
comparing him to Russell Wilson, but you can have a problem if he's not willing to take the free open short throw because he wants to buy time for the longer throw or something more, but he's unable to buy the time he used to buy, and it just results in these like drive crushing loss of yardage sacks. It'll be interesting to follow.
Yeah.
I agree with Tim. I'm willing. I'm confident Rodgers will be like mediocre. Like I'm confident Tim will, like, if that's the box of satisfaction, I think he'll get that. I don't know if that's what he paid for, but it's what he could get for sure.
You bet on the Jets to win the Super Bowl, Jeff. If you bet on them to win the Super Bowl, you got to think they covered the 3.5 here.
Yeah, that's where I am. Me and a buddy, we were in. He's a Jets fan too, and I'm like, you know what? Part of me was like, I can make the Jets just donate to Tim's GoFundMe. So I'd be on it. And part of me wants to re-up after they lost last night. But I'm scared Tennessee's defense could be really freaking good. And Tim's could be having a whole different conversation next week. Hope we're not. I will take the Jets uncomfortably.
So I'm going to take Tennessee at home and get the points and just think this is a field goal game because if Tennessee's defense is good enough, I could just see it being exceptionally low scoring. And I thought the Titans did two things really well in that game, that they ran the ball pretty effectively and they committed to running it with both Pollard on early downs and then Spears. I think Spears is their better running back. It's just they like to use him in these third and long situations, obvious passing downs, but he has a lot of speed, so he could be a problem if the Jets also can't stop the run. Now, maybe the scheming for San Francisco is just on such a different level that they can plug anyone back there and they can run it down your throat. So maybe Tennessee can't actually end up doing that. So their defense and running game, if they can do that enough, they shorten the game. If they can make some field goal kicks from like 54 yards, I think they can keep this within 3 at home. So I'll take them there. But I will say, it's like DeAndre Hopkins was playing Ocarina of Time, but he got sucked into the game right before the water temple in the ice cavern, Jeff, and he found the iron boots, but he didn't keep them in the game. He wore them on the field last week because he was as slow as Tim.
Yeah. Listen, week 1, you see it like Keenan out. I love Keenan, but like he looked chunky, you know?
No, that could be a number thing, though. We went over this on the Sunday Night Live show. Everyone tune into Sunday Night Live. I'm flying back midday to be here in studio to do Sunday Night Live. Garion is back on with Tim and I at 7:15 p.m. Eastern time. But just look how thin Gus Edwards looked. You take 35 off of him, stick a 4 on there, guy looks svelte.
You're not wrong. It was like, you're not wrong. That was a fair point. But yeah, week 1, you see, listen, there's just a lot of things like, oh, new number. Oh, that guy's on that team. Yeah, there's a lot of, that guy looks fat. That guy looks less fat, but it happens quick. It just happens quick at those fantasy football positions. Like you're just fine. And then you're slow. And then you're just, bad. I don't know if Hopkins is bad, but I'm excited. Like Brian Callahan and those receivers, the Jets defense doesn't buck up, they could have a problem.
DeAndre Hopkins is playing with a torn MCL, though. Let's not forget that. He tore it like 5 weeks ago and decided not to get surgery. So that's probably why he's so slow. It's probably not the iron boots.
He's going to be shit all season.
Yeah, it's not going to be, or he's just going to get hurt and be out for the season. Next game. Oh, another revenge game. San Francisco on the short week going to Minnesota to play Sammy Scrambles Tim. Sam Darnold, who almost, you got the win in the bet, but it was pretty close. And the Vikings are 6-point dogs at home. 45.5 is the over-under here. This feels like a fool's gold week 2 Vikings team. And maybe I'm dead wrong about that, but they got to beat up on one of the 2 worst teams in football, and now they get San Francisco.
Or it's a New York situation where they get to win 2 games against New York to start the year.
They're playing the Vikings in San Francisco.
Right. They're playing the team that played New York.
Well thought out. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm taking the 49ers. Just because I think they're just a cut above what Darnold can do. And of course, you've got a team that had Darnold all last year who knows exactly what his strengths and weaknesses are and will take advantage. We're also going to they're just begging me to do it, so I'm going to do it. We're going to tease San Francisco down to a pick. They're the first part of a money line or of a 6-point tease. It makes all the sense in the world. I know it's a short week, but it's not like they were beaten up. Like, it's not like the Jets provided a ton of physical resistance on Monday. It's not a traditional, like, you've been worn down after a battle game. And yeah, Darnold played excellently on Sunday, which was nice to see, but he's probably not that good. Yeah, not as good as he showed. One should expect San Francisco to take. If San Francisco is as good as they looked last night, which is to say better than maybe anybody else in the NFC right now, they should take care of Minnesota in this game, having to give up less than a touchdown. So that is where we are going here.
That's where my mind is too. But doesn't it feel like it should be bigger than 6 then, Geoff?
Both teams coming off really impressive wins.
Like, were the Vikings actually impressive in that win, or are the Giants just terrible?
The score was impressive. Yeah.
The score was impressive, sure. But
one of the teams dominated Daniel Jones. So it's like, okay, congratulations. Like, we still are going to try to quantify what that means for the Vikings. And the other team beat down a team that was on a hype train for a month. Close game, though. I am taking Minnesota at home. Sam Darnold will outperform Aaron Rodgers this year. I don't need, as the truther, I will take my moment to enjoy watching him carve it up. He was like 12 for 12 at a time during the game. I don't care that it was against the Giants, and you could say he sucks. He does not suck. You know why he does not suck? It's truly one main reason. Look at the coaches in the last couple years that have wanted him in their program. Kyle Shanahan and Kevin O'Connell. The fact that those coaches wanted him in there. The fact that when Sam Darnold got there, it made, yes, Trey Lance sucks, but it said, like, we're now done with him because we have brought in Sam Darnold. No, you can underrate him or I don't want to talk about how he's rated. You can underestimate him all you want. They will cover this number at home. Vikings. Could be my super. Unlikely.
Tim, is Darnold better than Aaron Rodgers this year?
Could be. I mean, he played phenomenally last week, and with the coaching he got from Shanahan, and now the coaching he's getting from O'Connell, and he's got an elite weapon in Jefferson. Would it shock me if Darnold had like a Pro Bowl level season in the NFC? No, it wouldn't shock me in the least. I just think that he's probably playing a little above his head last week, and then he'll come back a little bit. I don't think he's terrible. I just think he's not that great. And I think San Francisco is actually a great team. So
he's coached well, and the situation is good. The playmakers are there. The O-line is strong. San Francisco, the Jets kept shooting themselves in the foot. Hopefully the Vikings don't do that, because I think you can move the ball a bit.
See,
I think they will.
That's the part, though. I do think you can move the ball in San Francisco, but if we're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers making mistakes and shooting themselves in the foot, this is Sam Darnold throwing the ball. He's going to throw like 3 picks in this game. He might throw for 340 yards as well. He might throw for some touchdowns, but he's going to make some cripplingly bad decisions at the same time.
I like the 6. I'll take it.
I'm taking San Francisco. So Tim and I are on the Niners, Vikings for the coin, and Geoff. Seattle at New England. New England's only a 3-point dog at home right now against Seattle, coming across the country, who could barely handle everything that Bo Nix and his -8 ADOT had to throw at them. But Tim, it now seems like people are like really on New England.
Are they really on New England? I don't know.
I think I think that people like not as if they're going to be good and a problem this year, but I do think that people think their defense is really good, which it is. But in this game in particular, it feels like everyone likes the Patriots. Like they've already been bet down to this number.
I do too. Although I see the numbers bigger elsewhere. I'll take the 3. Like I said, you certainly get better elsewhere, but I'll take the 3. And it's a play against Seattle. It's got nothing to do with the Patriots. Like, Seattle was desperately trying to give that game away last week, and Denver was just simply unable to take it from them. So, yeah, I don't have a ton of confidence in Geno. I didn't start the year, so why I wasn't super high on the Seahawks' chances. I still am not. And I think Gerard Mayo put together a marvelous defensive game plan to shut down the Bengals. I expect him to put together a good game plan too. Now, I said facetiously, this is what happens in New England when you finally get a good coach. You start winning games. But in all seriousness, Mayo, I think, was almost being mocked going into the season
by you as well. By the way,
no,
by you.
You were the one mocking him on this show.
No, I don't even think they produce All Access anymore, Tim. I went looking just to see, like, what are the Patriots up to?
I expect them to play again. I expect them to play a tight, close, unappealing game, and it wouldn't shock me in the least if they were 2-0 going into our home opener next week at all.
Patriots fans are on a vibe, though. Good, it is.
Oh,
they are.
We sat next to one of them. Tim and I sat next to our Patriots fan friend during this game. It was fucking insufferable.
Going to the Super Bowl was said on more than one occasion.
I know, Brissett was so bad.
Brissett is bad, but Gino is bad. So
yeah, but to put those two in the same category, I think is wildly unfair. Like, Gino was fine in that game, and maybe Denver's D is a little bit better. And when you have maybe Christian Gonzalez can do the same thing that Surtain did to DK Metcalf and shut him down a bit. I just think there's too many playmakers on the Seattle side of the ball, where Cincinnati didn't have those guys. Like, where Trenton Irwin and Yeshmash were trying to make plays against the New England defense. If you take out their best receiver, well, they still have JSN, they have Noah Fant, they have Tyler Lockett, and it looks like Ken Walker's going to play through this 7-minute abs injury. So I just, with that much firepower, if you take away like the top end of what they do, their next tier of guys is so much better than what the Bengals were running out there.
So I don't know, I think the Patriots defense would play well enough.
I kind of agree with Pat in the sense that, like, I want to see the Patriots actually have to defend playmakers before I actually, like, that was foolish. I took the Bengals in Survivor. It's one of my two circuit teams. That sucks. I'm embarrassed to tell my wife I lost one of my teams because I made a really big deal about entering the contest. I have a buddy who lives out in Vegas. He did enter it for me when it was all said and done. But, like, there was a day where I told my wife, like, listen, like, if he's
going to have a hat,
I didn't, like, I mean, I own the hat, but, I'm not going to want to look at it when it's just like a $2,000 bill in like a couple weeks. Like, $2,000 American. You know what our dollar is right now?
It's great. So love it. Get worse Canadian
I like
dollar
it too. But I like it too. But once in a while, I got to buy things. And I just told my wife, she doesn't enter, like, I'll go to Vegas like for the day. And she was so mad at me that I would even consider doing that. So I'd be, I haven't told her I lost a team, so don't flip it. She'd be like, not that I care. Like, she's not like expecting me to win, but I got to survive a little to save.
What week are you going to tell her that you finally lost? Have you decided?
Like if I lost this week, I wouldn't tell her. No chance. Not a chance.
I like Seattle -3 here. I think Seattle wins this like 20-10.
I'm going to lay these points with Seattle as well. I don't really. I mean, it just seemed like Stevenson had run lanes to just go through all day, which allowed the Patriots to be in nice situations. I honestly don't know. Like, the Bengals were so pathetic. I know they had injuries. They play the Chiefs next week, and you wouldn't think anyone would look ahead on week 1, but maybe they were. They were just not ready to start a season. So I am not ready to buy into the Patriots, and maybe I'll get proven wrong again. Seattle.
You know what's funny, Tim? We talked about San Francisco. We recapped the game, and not once did we mention Christian McCaffrey not playing.
No, he doesn't matter that much. He's a running back. I'm sorry. People are like, he's his best. He's their best player. No, he isn't.
Well, it matters in the sense.
It affected the line, the spread by about a point or so. Probably shouldn't have. It doesn't really. I mean, McCaffrey's a great player, but he's a luxury player.
I don't think he's going to go this week either. I think they're going to sit him out until he's 100% healthy.
I got personal correspondence from Tim after that injury news, and like, while the internet or Jets fans or Jets bettors were celebrating, Tim was like very clear to me that he thought this was just a horrible omen And I only agreed with him from the betting perspective. Like Gambler 101 has seen what happened last night before. Big player gets injured. People flood to bet the other team. It has almost no impact. If anything, the guy played as good as McCaffrey. And like, as a gambling group, a lot of people just lose their shirt. But Tim was afraid. He didn't like it.
I've seen this play before.
Were you following the Bet365 thing, Geoff, about them not paying out and changing the odds on the Jordan Mason over?
Okay, so I've kind of seen that. What are they saying? They just posted a bad line?
Well, yeah. Well, the bad line was posted. People bet it. So here's what I think happened. And I don't know, because they are paying everyone out. So like crying on the internet works. So keep doing it. If books are going to pay you out on bets they won the bet. They should get paid out. But we've experienced this a couple times. Like sometimes with golf, it's not updated as quickly as the NFL. So if something happens, they will sometimes just remove your bet right away, which is what they should have done if this potential thing happened. Like if you bet Jordan Mason 3 days ago and is over, that should be unaffected. But within like a 10-minute window of that news coming out and someone going and hammering the over before the line was adjusted, I feel like in most terms and conditions, books have the right to void that bet. But they need to avoid that like within 10 minutes of you making it for that to stick. That's at least my position on it.
Yeah, but why did they want to avoid it? Because they didn't like the line they had up?
They had 18 and a half rushing yards was the line when everyone assumed Christian McCaffrey was going to play. And then the moment that he was out, people like hit it in the first 5 minutes and like bet a whole bunch on the over 18 and a half. And I think the actual line came out.
Where the hell are the traders?
I don't know. But listen, people have like AI programs now designed to hit these things when they happen. But like we used to bet on Bodog for ages, and they'd post like terrible lines. Like 10 minutes later, you get an email. It's like, yeah, that was the wrong line. Sorry, here's your money back.
Yeah, Bodog's actually sick. They seem to like honor bad lines.
They do a lot of the time, but I have gotten a few where I hit it when like news broke. I'm like, oh, perfect. And then I got the email. It's like, yeah, but they did that before the game started, so at least I knew. But it seemed like Bet365 wanted to have their cake and eat it too, that in case he did go under, they could rake all the money if they had the plan to do this anyway, which is completely scummy. And I believe that they've been sued for and had to pay out already.
Good. Listen, I'm disappointed in everybody. I don't like anything that's going on. Regulation, like, it's just the worst. It's genuinely like the worst. I don't give a shit. So they get to catch the like the scrub NBAers making bets, whatever, fuck off. The fact that football season came, I didn't like the deposit bonuses, emails, they'd fight. It'd be like girls fighting over you at the bar, which is something most of us ain't used to. The amount of your inbox, that's what it would be. It was a cat fight. It was a cat fight. 100%. $500 max or match. Full. No, it's like nothing. There ain't nothing. Screw them all. Screw them all. I old man yelling at clouds, regulation, the nut low. The nut low. Same with weed in these. It's rather my drug dealer show up at my front door. He still does. He still does. I don't go to any of these bougie shops who like want me to like pair weed with like some like, what goes well like a Tom Collins or something. Fuck off. Fuck off. And then they need a tip for that advice. Like, what a world.
Oh,
what a world.
Is that the one industry that has not been brought down by the evils of tipping, Tim? Drug dealers?
I can't imagine going to some bougie shop for marijuana and then giving somebody a tip for their advice on how to pair it with a highball.
Listen, you say that now, 2 years from now, you're going to be talking about your weed sommelier and how you could do it too. And we know where this goes.
I'm still not going to tip.
Yeah, you'd want the tip though if you were the weed sommelier.
No.
Paul?
I just want to say, tip your drug dealers. They work hard for your money. If they're willing to show up to your house, they're giving you a extra little bonus on top of it.
Yeah, there you go. If you got someone showing up at your door at 3 a.m., Geoff, you give that guy a tip.
They're answering your calls.
And listen, the one I still use, like, it was friends with Gabe and Cam. That's who introduced me. They used to do shows in this guy's condo.
Oh, it's that
like,
guy?
way back in the day.
That's what Cam
Yeah,
had
he's
to
got
dress
like
as the-
runners.
Cam had to dress as the piece of poop. They were grinding for those ad dollars at that time. Anyway, that brings us to the midway point of the show, which means it's time for a mini version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
I wish people would stop telling me that I couldn't mountain climb to a base camp
On Mount Everest.
at a mountain. Or a mountain, not to the top. I could never get to the top. But it seems to me that in this day and age, with all the modern technological advances in terms of weather prediction and clothing and you name it in terms of tech, that the average Joe could get to base camp if they wanted to, if they spent some time training.
How high up is
Instead of
base
people
camp?
like, I don't know, but it's not like it's nowhere
You
near.
don't even
the
know.
summit. It's not. It's nowhere near the
Tim.
summit.
Listen, can't you? People of our girth getting in F1 cars, going to high or low, like going up there in altitude and that oxygen, that's not where we belong. It's not for us. You have to be self-aware and accept some of these things.
No, I don't
You
want to
say-
close these
hold on.
doors on
You
myself.
say you take, like, if you have to shovel, you need a break every like 10 to 12 minutes.
Because it's dangerous for your heart.
And
What
you
do
think
you
and you think that climbing Mount Everest isn't?
Well, I'm not saying to scale it to the top. I don't think I could do that.
Okay, so you don't think that you could do it. So
No, I don't think I could do
So
that.
it is 5.5 miles, and you're saying you're not going to get to the summit. I was talking to Paul earlier when you had brought this up that I don't know if you could walk in a straight line for 5.5 miles on flat ground.
Yes, I could.
Could you?
Could
We
you
walk longer
imagine
than we walk
being-
longer than that playing golf.
No, we do not.
being in the group with Tim, like you've decided you've waited your whole like adult life to make this journey, and you get there and it's like you know your shaman's also responsible for Tim. Oh my god, Sherpa, whatever. Like
But again,
that's
not
the
to,
guy
not to-
you're like attached to on the rope going up.
I'm not saying it's risk free because it obviously has some genuine risks. But look, if you do a little training, I think with the modern technology they've got today, getting to base camp is something that you could do. No, not getting to the very top. That seems to be impractical. But you know, I think a person could do it.
Is that a thing anyone does? They get to base camp and they say, "I made it, turning around now. Good luck on the rest of your journey, everyone."
That's what I would like to do. And then people ask me if I've climbed Everest. I'd say I've climbed on Everest. Because I will have done that.
Yeah, fair.
I've gotten to the summit. No, fair enough. I haven't. But you know, I climbed on Everest.
Paul is
You
the
are
biggest.
worried
Hold on,
about your
Paul,
backyard ladder. The steps in your backyard, you're like afraid of.
Well, yeah, because I'm not wearing mountain climbing equipment to go up and down them either.
It's like 9 steps.
They're very steep and they're very icy.
The mountain's not.
But I'm not wearing mountain climbing gear at home.
Paul
Not the same thing.
theorized before the show. Paul is the biggest outdoorsman of all of us because none of us are really outdoorsmen here. Paul is. Paul likes to go on hikes. Paul, do you think you could set up a hike around here that Cust wouldn't be able to do?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, nothing's too difficult around here.
No, this is
but
like
I mean, if you
beginner-
added in like winter and like slippery, yeah, like if we tried to like do it in the winter, yeah, I'm sure we could find something within 20 minutes from here that he would absolutely fail on.
Not everything's for everyone.
Those Sherpas would be licking their chops seeing Tim. They'd be like, well, if an avalanche comes, like, we're going to be well fed.
Not everything's for.
Cust is going to get alive on Mount Everest?
Yeah. That was a plane crash in the Andes. Not everything's for everyone. That's right. Well, you know, I don't know if Geoff watched any of the Sunday show, but speaking of things that are for everybody, we talked about, you sent me the link for the new Matlock and how excited that we got for that. Apparently, the most popular shows that had tens of millions of viewers for decades, no one's ever heard of them. No one's watched them. The people who watched them weren't real. The Nielsen ratings weren't real because no one's ever seen these shows.
Okay,
This is
hold
what we
on,
learned,
Jeff. Before you comment on this, let me lay out a scenario for you.
Tim, I heard it.
These millions of people in 1980 were watching a show designed for old people, and Tim is now wondering what happened to these people.
What did happen to these people?
They
They're
fucking
millions
dead,
and
Tim. They died.
They're not. They're not.
It's
all.
been
We know
40.
Matlock.
It's been 44 years at a demo of a show that was 50 and older. You think all these 95-year-olds and 100-year-olds are walking around? They're not you. I get that. They can't just live to be 118 years old. They did.
Pat nailed that on the head. I mean, we know Matlock because our grandparents like Matlock, and you'd see it on. And guess what? When we were homesick from school, like you had to just watch what was on, unless I was going to put in an old wrestling VHS or, maybe like a Blue Jays World Series video or MLB's greatest moments or one of those free VHSs that came with Sports Illustrated. But if I didn't, Matlock was on at 1:00. It was like all afternoon on like channel 31. And sometimes I'd be sick enough and I'd watch it. So I found it a bit endearing as I got older. Kids today, remember that cartoon Pro Stars, Michael Jordan?
Yeah. Bo Jackson and Wayne
Gretzky.
Yeah.
It was on for 30 minutes on Saturday. And if I missed it, I didn't get it again. Today, I'd be able to watch it and all day long, whatever I wanted. These kids today can choose their adventure. We just had to watch what was on TV. And that's why we know Matlock.
But
That's
we're
it.
the majority still. So that means most people know all about these shows and therefore should be very interested and be able to be conversant about them.
Yeah, but no, people our age, our demo is like 35 to 50, let's say. These were not the people sitting down to watch Matlock, as Jeff described. Matlock would be on with your parents or grandparents, where the hell you were. It's not like, oh man, we're big Matlock fans. You were. No one else was.
Well, yeah, it was a great show.
That's great. You can watch Pro
And there's
Stars
one of-
episode 1, Jeff, on YouTube right now. Hot Pro Stars jamming. Apostrophe. This reeks of 1991.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Tim. You and your network TV.
You don't think that new Matlock looks good? You saw the video. You sent it to me. You're telling me that with Kathy Bates, who is a legitimate Hollywood star, isn't going to knock it out of the park on that show?
Oh my God. A network procedural, that's we're done. We're done.
Do you know how many people watch NCIS every week?
Yeah,
Do you know how many people watch
we did it.
Law and Order every week?
We looked up the ratings for NCIS. It was like 8 million people.
That's a lot of people.
It's really not, considering that show would have got 5 times as many viewers 15 years ago.
And they think they're gonna win people over with woke Baywatch or whatever they're putting out. I saw a commercial for.
What about the Captain Boat? I'll watch that.
Dr.
That
Boat. It's Dr.
Dr.
Boat.
Boat.
Tim. Dr. Boat. Oh, maybe the boat is
I
the
saw
real
that,
doctor.
and that almost looked like when I first saw it, it almost had something mysterious is going to happen, like Lost, but it's just normal boat stuff. Bleh.
You know what show I
Why
did
don't
start? You know what? We finished Elementary, so we needed another procedural just to have in the background at nighttime to have on the TV for my wife and I. You know what we started, Jeff?
Blue Bloods.
The Mentalist.
Wow. Okay.
The guy's great.
I'm not
I like-
watching.
I love-
I liked The
anything.
Mentalist. It was okay.
It's fine. Just the Mentalist.
The great thing about network TV is that it's family friendly, so you don't have to worry about cursing or anything too violent.
Do you worry about cursing?
B, I don't. If I'm unwinding to watch the
just like when
TV
Jeff
on
was smoking dope, according to you.
I am still shocked that wasn't nicotine. But anyway,
Jeff, did you heard about?
I'm still
if you
shocked
watched
by that.
If you
I didn't
watched the
know.
Sunday show, you heard about this, right?
Yeah. Good for. Tim.
I thought that
I love
vapes were
Tim.
only for vape juice and nicotine. I didn't realize that people could vape other things like that. I guess it never occurred to me. Anyway,
Oh, you could vape some hardcore resin.
That
whatever they got
doesn't-
going these days.
now that you say that, I guess it doesn't surprise me. But
We went on a golf trip with a guy who lost his vape pen 3 times during the round.
yeah, but because he started to vape.
Yeah, it's a weed vape, Tim.
Yeah, I thought it was just the flavored tobacco stuff.
It wasn't. I do have one more
like-
thing I wanted to bring up to you.
All
though.
right, fine.
that I heard that I don't know how often you could get away with this, but Geoff, where we live and where you live as well, there are private liquor stores that can sell like non-name brand beer. There are like private wine stores that can do the same thing. But if you want liquor, name brand beer, the government controls all of the liquor stores. So it's the NSLC here, it's the LCBO where you're at. And basically, if you go in and try to steal something, like these are government employees. They're basically told, like, don't touch anyone, let them walk out. Like, don't put yourself at risk for any of this stuff. So there's a guy going around where we live right now, and he's known as the Liquor Pimp, Geoff, and he pimps out old people to go into the liquor store to steal booze, which he then resells after the fact. Don't you think that Tim could be a liquor pimp? He would know all these old people to do his dirty work.
That is incredible. I mean,
Terrible.
yeah, I guess
Just
that's
terrible.
That's the thing these days. You could just shoplift and you're allowed to walk out the front door, apparently. What a world. What a world.
Liquor Pimp. Also, besides climbing Mount Everest, I think that's something that got lost with Tim this week too, Geoff, is that he said he'd make a really good long-haul trucker, which is not true at all.
Okay, I mean,
It's mostly highway driving.
If you've
you
ever
can
been,
barely drive your fucking Corolla.
I don't drive a Corolla. I drive a Camry. If I drove a Corolla, I'd say I drove a Corolla.
somewhere I have to go semi-regularly is kind of near like a truck training driving center, and watching these guys like in training making the turns and like blocking whole intersections, it seems like there's an intense, I guess once you get the hang of it, but that's actually not the craziest thing. I don't think Tim knows what he's in for with the meal ready to eat kits. I don't think he even understands in the slightest. This is a guy who, like me, I have very maybe childlike
you both eat like 6-year-olds.
Yeah, listen.
What do you mean meal ready to eat kits? What is that about?
On Sunday night.
The MREs. You think Pauls can buy the box of MRE foods that you want to buy?
Oh, you mean the apocalypse foods that we were going to eat on the show?
Yeah, but those that stuff's like was invented for, like soldiers,
Oh no, I have no idea what those foods are going to be.
No,
I want to go back to the truck driver thing because I have a few questions, Tim. Because these are long hauls that you're doing. You can't just be stopping all the time. Like, where are you going to pee? You got to pee in a bottle.
I'm not going to do that.
Then how are you going to make your delivery on time?
Well, I'm not then.
Well, that doesn't sound like you're very good at this, does it?
I just thought it would be fun to drive the big rig. Honestly, I had this image of myself in the front of the cab, wearing one of those hats, driving down the highway, honking the horn, driving around. I don't know. I like the idea of it.
If you tried to honk the horn of an 18-wheeler, you would pull the thing and then you would scare yourself with how loud it was.
I don't know about that if I knew it was coming.
Do you want to go to an interstate shower house?
Yeah.
You have to clean yourself after
truck stop showers. You have to be all over. Where else are you going to shower?
I'm sure I would just shower at the hotel I'm going to stay at.
What hotel? You sleep in the fucking truck.
You sleep in the car on the in a truck stop, and you might bond with other truck drivers, or
you find a lot. Do you know what a lot lizard is, Tim?
I have no idea.
They're the hookers at fucking truck stops.
You're not ready for this game if you don't know what a lot lizard is, Tim.
I just want to drive around the highway.
You're out of your element, Tim, when it comes to truck driving.
Can you guess what a lot lizard is?
I just told him.
He just told me what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, Tim.
I think it's a hard job. I think it's a very difficult job.
Agreed. Doesn't sound like it, since you just think you can do it as a career. You can kind of drive a car. You can't drive a stick.
I think I could.
They don't make these an automatic for one thing. Two, you are the one person whenever we go anywhere that we don't let drive because you're so bad at driving.
You are.
I could do one run. That's what I'd like to do. No, as a career, it would be far too difficult.
Can I ask you?
I have great respect for the people who drive the big rigs.
No, you don't. In the same way,
I do.
In the same way, you don't have respect for the people who are lay tile or put a driveway down.
I have great respect for those people. Those people are doing fantastic
the drywall
work.
up in the house. No, you think what they do is simple and easy.
No, I don't think it's simple.
Then why do you think you can do the drywall in your own house?
I think I could do a decent enough job at the dream house. Not as good as a professional. I think I could do one run on the highway in the big rig. That's all. I think that
You
would be
would not
how
be
about
able
we-
to move the 18-wheeler 1 inch. You wouldn't be able
You
to
wouldn't be able
start
to
it for
turn
one
it.
thing, and you can't drive a standard, so it would just stay where it is.
Tim, can I give you better advice? I
Sure.
think we just reel in the 18-wheeler and you do more of like the motorhome, like the RV mission around the, across the country or something. That's like
I
realistic.
don't even want to go far. I just want to like go on like a day's trip
Oh my
driving
god.
it. That's all I want. Think that would be fun. That's all I want to do.
Oh, what was
In a
that? What was
hotel.
that terrible show on MTV? The guy hosts that show that's on for like 23 and a half hours a day on MTV now.
Robin Big.
Deer Dick, yeah. He used to
Rob
have like
Dyrdek?
ridiculousness is on all the time. But he used to have that like Dream Factory show where he would like play out his fantasies. That should be Cust show, but he can't do any of the things. It's like here's Cust
No, I
trying
can't
to drive an F1
base
car.
camp.
Oh, he can't get in it.
I could get in the F1 car. I could get to base camp. Could jump from space.
You got an audible from the intern.
Well, but I mean, it's just going up and jumping. That guy in the Red Bull jumping comp. All he did is go up and he jumped.
I mean, I need you to check out your VO2 levels because you're going to be climbing up on Everest, going to high altitude. You're going to be spaced where there's not a ton of air. You need to make sure your VO2 levels are where they need to be. I don't know if they're that good.
I don't even know what they are.
That's probably not for the best then, because you probably need to up those before you try to even think about attempting these things.
You ever hike? Like, I'm not even trying to be rude. Like, do you
A
go
couple
on
of times
hikes?
I've gone on hikes. It's been a little bit.
So now
No,
you
I don't particularly enjoy it. I'm being perfectly honest with you.
but you want to go to base camp.
I just think it would be cool to be able to say that I got to Everest Base Camp.
Why don't you just like Google Maps it and
I
then
have.
say that and then just say you did it?
I have. I've seen the videos of people on top of Everest, and it's like that would be really cool. But it would be anyway.
Why don't you start with like a canoe trip in Ontario or something?
I don't like canoes. I fall out of them. I used to be a member of a paddling club, and I kept falling out of the canoe and the kayak every time. My balance is not good. They gave me one year. They gave me the untippable kayak. Well, it's not untippable when I get in it because I tipped that thing over immediately.
Is that why you won't tip anyone?
No, like I'm not great with my balance on the water in watercraft. I
But
have
like,
to.
what
admit
if
that.
Paul was like in the stern position, just leading the way?
No, I would just get no. We would that canoe would tip over as soon as we anyway. It just would.
Imagine if Paul was riding the canoe for Tim, or I guess it wouldn't be a kayak, unless it was a 2-man kayak, and then like Tim saw a fish in the water or something, and like yee, and like freaked out.
Yeah, I'd pull up my oar, and I would just like want to go back to shore, please.
Tim can drive across or swim across his lake, though.
Oh yeah, according
Remember,
to
that's
him.
another
did
thing he
once.
said he could do.
He also said he could.
19 years ago.
I still don't believe that. It's a
Didn't
it's a
you-
kilometer and a half of straight swimming.
Yeah, you're right. I was in much better shape 19 years
Do you
ago. I
think
had a
you could
wetsuit
even
on.
like pitch a tent?
Wait, you hold on. Did you say
No.
Did you say that you had a wetsuit on, or you were using a life jacket?
No, I had a wetsuit on.
Did you use a life jacket too?
No, I did. You don't need to when you're wearing a wetsuit. At least not the one I had on. It was like a flotation device.
That's what you're calling swimming across your lake? You were using a fucking flotation device?
No, like I was wearing the wetsuit, which is like a flotation device.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, wetsuit.
Like the
wetsuit.
wetsuit I had on, like helped you float.
So you had a cheater wetsuit?
I guess so. Like when I put it on, it felt like it was keeping me like floating. You know what I mean?
But you were like, you were an adult.
Just barely. I want to say I was 18, 19.
Okay, but you were like a fully like,
So you were
In
wearing
terms
like
of,
the suits
like-
that I put my kids in when we bring them swimming.
yeah,
I
like you
was
seem like
wearing-
way too old to need that buoyancy for swimming at 18. That's my point.
I don't understand what the criticism is. I wore a suit. It helped me to float, and I swam across the
Sounds
lake.
like
Yeah,
you were
because you're
wearing, like,
claiming
a
that you
baby-
swam the kilometer and a half across this lake using a fucking life jacket.
It's not a life jacket.
Of course you swam across it. You couldn't sink.
Why would I sink? I was swimming.
Could you have done it without the wetsuit on?
I mean, I'm sure I could have. I could
Really?
just put on a life jacket.
So you
and taken
needed
the
to wear
wetsuit
a
off.
what? You needed to wear a wetsuit that would help you float, but you chose to not. You could do it without it. Is what you're saying?
I put on a suit. The suit gave me some buoyancy. I wore it for safety purposes, and I swam across the lake.
I don't think this is a legitimate swim across the lake, Geoff.
Oh, yeah, what a shock. Everyone's always trying to take away my credit.
This is like when
You
he
can't do
he
this.
told us he was
You
doing
can't do
laps
that.
at the pool, but he was using a fucking flutter board.
No, I don't do those. Use the flutter
Didn't
board
you
because
say
my
you
watch
had a
doesn't count them
list?
anymore.
Did you say you had a list of like forgotten credit things that people owed you?
Yeah, but now it's like
we'll
it's,
say-
it's like dated.
We'll save that for next week. We can always rehash some stuff. Listen, new viewers didn't know that you could jump from space, as we just found out.
Anybody can jump from space. It's just jumping. It's just jumping. Gravity takes effect. Thank you, Sir Isaac Newton.
But he didn't invent gravity. Gravity's just
No,
there.
he discovered it. He discovered it.
He has the theory of gravity.
Yes,
We don't even know. We don't even know if it's real. Just
You're right. Well, technically, you're right. With general relativity and stuff, there's always changes to what we think are actually true.
A few years back, the irons were the best part of my golf game. But after a swing change about 2.5 years ago, my driver's an absolute weapon at this point, but all of a sudden I couldn't hit my long irons, and even some of my short irons just were not going on the same trajectory that I always wanted them to, or at least that they used to do. So when I heard how the new PXG Black Ops irons can dramatically improve my game, of course I had to give them a try, anything to improve my golf game. So I called up PXG and I got my current irons and I took the PXG Irons Challenge and it has been amazing. The consistency off the club face is unparalleled to any club that I have ever used. Best thing about these irons is because I feel so comfortable that I'm gonna hit the sweet spot on them, I can control the club face, the high, the low, the cut, the draw, no problem. And the new PXG Black Ops irons are the game improvement missile launchers that are going to give you explosive distance, and it's going to feel softer than a baby bunny. The new Black Ops irons are incredibly easy to hit and maximize performance and fun, because getting better is fun. Oh, and they're only $149.99 a stick. That's a great price for a great golf iron. Take the PXG Irons Challenge. It's a ton of fun, and if PXG's new Black Ops irons don't outperform your current irons by delivering either more distance or tighter dispersion, that means better accuracy, during your fitting, you'll get a $100 MasterCard rewards card. Hurry! This offer ends October 7th. Book your fitting today at pxg.com. That's pxg.com. Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Supercharger, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Kids are always learning and growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity. What's something you'd like to learn? Gardening? A new language? Or, for me personally, how to finally beat your best friend in golf. Not Cust, but, my other friends. I want to beat them at golf. I can beat Cust, no problem. Therapy can help reconnect you with your sense of wonder because your back-to-school era can come, honestly, at any age. It's helpful learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries, and it empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major traumas. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All the best things that you need. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/PatMayo today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/PatMayo. All right, we're still in the early slate here because there are 1,400 early games this week. Not great for me, Geoff. I'm traveling this weekend to my uncle's wedding, and I'm flying back on Sunday so I can do the live show. I've done this before where I've just watched all the games on the planes, but it's going to be impossible with 10 games going on in the early slate. This sucks.
Yeah, I hate the split this week. And I have actually, the times I've been forced to travel during Sunday, I've actually not minded it. It's good. I got to watch games on the flight. That's a more enjoyable flight. But 10 games having to follow, that's almost impossible in the air.
Washington is favored by 1.5 at home. 44 is the total in this game. I don't know if there's a lot separating these teams. However, the one big thing that I did notice with Daniel Jones is that it felt like, Tim, that the Vikings were goading him into running, and then the moment he tried to take off, they just swarmed him, and he just didn't have the get up and go. I mean, coming off the injury, that makes some sense, and Jaden Daniels had no problems running.
I agree with you. I think this line is wrong. Like, it should be just as a standard, Washington by 2.5 at home. Books are telling you the Giants are better than the Commanders. I do not agree with them at all. There's a lot of value on the Commanders here because they're clearly better than the Giants. Like, the 1.5 is not enough. Washington is on the short list of super locks. I got to have the Commanders here.
I agree with Tim, Geoff. And maybe we're so off the scent because they looked so bad last week, and the Commanders looked bad last week too. Let's not forget that. But the Giants looked terrible. That it just doesn't seem like enough points.
I'm with you. I don't know. Like, this might be super square. Maybe all like the smart guys are taking those points.
Oh, just like when they took the Panthers in the points last week. Did they cash their CLV? I didn't hear.
I don't even know that there was much CLV. I don't want to talk about that. There are a few reasons, but yeah, the spreadsheet made us, think that the Panthers would be better, but I guess once the game starts, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, there's
Jeff, put that in your computer and let it see what it says.
Yeah, just one problem with the Panthers, Jeff. They're not any good.
Yeah, they don't have players. You can expect it. Oh, they're not as bad. They have to go closer to the median. Clearly didn't happen. I'm taking Washington. I don't know if this is totally square, but I watched what you guys watched, and that is just pretty simple. My concern for Washington in some ways is I think Dan Quinn's maybe going to frustrate us at times, old school defensive guy as a head coach.
He did it last week. He made, I mean, Antonio Pierce probably made the stupidest decision of the week, but Dan Quinn wasn't far behind.
No, I think there actually was a bit of a gap, truly. When you look at the math on what Pierce did,
it was the worst.
Truly,
it was like the worst punt in the history of football.
Yeah, it's truly like the worst punt since they've been tracking punts. I can't even comprehend it.
Well, I think it rated out as high as it could in the surrender index, and maybe just never surrender was his thing. Maybe Antonio Pierce is a big Corey Hart fan, and we just didn't know, and that's just how he lives his lifestyle, the Corey Hart mantra. But this I don't know. I don't know that much about him.
Nice. But I think going back to the preseason, I don't think Washington's great, but I think they're in a different tier than the Giants, and nothing that happened week one kind of changes my opinion of that. So I'll lay it.
Yeah, the coin's going with the Giants. The rest of us are going with Washington in this spot. Next game, your Los Angeles Chargers, Jeff, are at the very much talked about Carolina Panthers, who are 6.5-point dogs at home. 39 is the over-under. I'll zag. I'll take the Panthers here. Listen, the Chargers are fine. They probably win. It feels like they're going to win a lot of games. If the Raiders don't punt there, that's a real game. So I know the Panthers couldn't really move the ball, but that J.K. Dobbins run where the entire team caught up to him after he broke through just reminds me of this entire Chargers team. They're good, but they have no explosiveness on their team, whereas the Saints do. And I just think that the Chargers are going to grind them and they're going to be happy with a 4-point win.
Don't make Bryce Young look good. You do not want to be the team that makes Bryce Young look good. We are teasing the Chargers down. They're the second part of a tease. So I just got to get them to win. Minus 0.5 point.
Who was the first part? I forget.
San Francisco.
San Francisco down to a pick. I don't feel super confident one way or the other about the Chargers, but I don't care. I'm just going to start picking against the Panthers for a while till they cover 2 weeks in a row. Not even one. One's not going to throw me off the scent. They need to cover 2 weeks in a row before I pick them again.
This will be a good indictment on the Harbaugh Chargers, Jeff, because in this situation, in like previous years, coming off like a nice win against the Raiders in week 1, all of a sudden, cross country, early game. This is just a game the Chargers blow.
Last year, we had a nice week 1 win, wasn't fancy. We went to Tennessee, who got the doors blown off them by the Saints. Tannehill looked like he couldn't move a foot, and we lost to them. So that's kind of got me.
You did not win in week 1 last year.
Yeah, you lost.
You lost to the Dolphins.
Oh, sorry. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Week 1 was that bad.
A hypothetical week 1 win.
Either way, we can make bad players look good. Yeah, I just think this game sets up well for us to win because they suck and they seemingly have lost their best run stopper, and we'll just grind it out. I actually do like the Panthers with the points because I kind of agree with Pat's assessment. I think the Chargers win by 4 or 6 points. The line move, just crazy. Everyone just wants to pick on the Panthers, and they feel like they can trust the Chargers, so that's fine. But I got to tell you, use your Rolodex in your brain about Chargers football. When's the last time the Chargers won a game by being the stronger point of attack defensive line team, the team that had the dumber head coach and the team that didn't make all the dumb mistakes? I don't know. And then, they punted. The dumbest punt ever. The dumbest. And maybe it would have been a different game. But what did this Chargers team do on Sunday that I don't honestly remember happening is they took that punt and they drove it 93 yards in 9 plays and didn't put the game out of reach. Didn't ice the game, but it was like the game out of reach touchdown. Just fabulous. We got to
last year you would have muffed that punt back to the Raiders, who would have then
scored. Yeah, we might not have gotten a first down. Last year, Herbert would have thrown the ball 57 times in the game. It just would have been such a different game. So it's fun. And, I think if you voted for Offensive Rookie of the Year today, Joe Alt will probably win. Because that was incredible. That was incredible.
I'm looking at you for Survivor, Jeff, this week.
My favorite.
I really am.
I don't even mean you, but I'm getting these DMs. People leave me alone.
Yeah,
I don't care about your Survivor.
I think that Carolina's super live to win this game.
Maybe.
This is like a super zag back the other way. I don't think that they're good, but if there's one team to give you a false sense of, hey, all of our stupid problems are fixed, playing the Raiders in week 1 is a good starting point where you're just going to look good by comparison because no matter
100%.
What the Raiders do over the past 20 years, there's the stupidest team every single year.
I think the Chargers won the game and I can't believe he says we. He's one of those guys that say we. Yeah, I say we. I'm 40 years old. I've been a fan for 34 years. Is there a guy on the team who's been on there for 34 years? I don't care. It's I don't care. That doesn't bother me. One bit. We can lose this game. We haven't gotten that out of our system. It would be fun to know. It'd be fun to see the game play out in a way where it's okay, yeah. We're just so not the dumb team anymore where we won't lose this game and they'll be the dumb team. Our pass rush looked pretty awesome when they're healthy. Maybe they made the really right move by keeping Mack and Bosa and letting Allen and Williams go, and just because Harbaugh knows his system can just figure out, he trusts himself to figure out offense, how he thinks offense his way. And over time, we will build out that receiving core. I'm going to get out on this. Sloppy on offense, but I only want to defend it in one way. Herbert missed a crucial 2 weeks of training camp with the new install of a new coach and a new offense. We do not play in the preseason. None of our guys. And Easton Stick couldn't run a practice. I believe we had 2 weeks where we did not run a functioning offensive practice. So it's not like a fantasy offense, but I just believe as a whole, we're still behind right now. Like the offense is still really behind. And I expect it to not be explosive, but to be quite a bit more efficient. And Joe Alt is amazing. Like he ragdolled Max Crosby in his first NFL game.
So you're taking the Panthers?
No, I'm going to take the Chargers, but I would, if this wasn't the Chargers, I'd take the other side.
Yeah, Derek Brown out for the year for the Panthers team. You're taking the Chargers too?
I am.
All right, so the coin and I are both on Carolina. Cleveland at Jacksonville. Jacksonville is a 3.5-point favorite at home. 42 is the total. This is short list for Super Lock for me. I absolutely love Cleveland in this game, Tim.
I don't love Cleveland, and I'm not going to take them. I think it's just a little too short. I think Jacksonville should probably be favored by 4.5 or even 5. So we'll take the Jags here, not with a super bit of confidence, but it's going to be incredibly hot in Jacksonville. Cleveland's defense looked troubled. Their defense played much worse on the road last year. We'll see if that happens again. And like if Watson's just done, then you can't ever pick the Browns while he's playing like this. I think the Browns are unplayable until they figure out what's going on at quarterback, unless the lines get fairer. And I don't think this is a fair line.
I just don't know what anyone saw in Jacksonville last week, Geoff, to think that they're any good.
They held the Dolphins to 20 points.
Sure,
that's actually a pretty good defensive. With the Dolphins as healthy as can be in Miami, to hold them to 20 points, I would say by and large Jacksonville's defense played pretty darn good football.
I mean, all you talked
they
about,
don't fumble the ball going across the goal line.
All you talked about all preseason was how terrible that the Dolphins defense was, and the Jags basically couldn't do anything offensively after the first 10
If they don't have that fluke fumble on the goal line, they win the game.
Okay, they did. They did fumble on the goal line.
They did. Those things happen. But I'm just saying, like, the way that if you play that game out the way it played out 100 times, Jacksonville's going to win it more often than they're going to lose it.
I don't know. If we think that Miami's defense, Geoff, isn't all that great, I do think that the Browns' defense is good. And I think Dallas is really good. And I don't think that Jacksonville's on their tier. And maybe I'm just wrong, but Trevor Lawrence doesn't look good. Like, Brian Thomas actually got a bunch of separation. I think he had the most separation. It was like him and A.D. Mitchell of like all the rookies and even top-end receivers in getting away from their defenders. And Lawrence could only get him the ball, 4 times? One of them was for a touchdown. That's great. But Lawrence just wasn't hitting the spots. And it's going to be even worse this week against Cleveland.
This does feel like one of the bigger overreaction games of the week. That being said, I think I still want to bet Jacksonville at home. I'll lay this 3, not comfortably.
3.5.
I will bet it in real life. If like they're at both their tackles on the Browns.
That's it, right? I just don't see the path for the Browns.
And Josh Allen might be one of the best guys going right now. The other Josh Allen.
Yeah, like they should not have been favored against Dallas. That didn't make much sense. And like they're in tough here too. I think they're unbettable until the lines get fair.
Did you guys see any of the documentary on Netflix with that Connor Stallions fella?
No.
I just want to put it out there that I think in a different life, I could be Connor Stallions.
Who is he a porn star? Because that sounds like a porn star name.
No, he's the guy who was like cheating for Michigan.
Oh, he was like the sideline guy?
Yeah, the sideline guy that like just dedicated his life, sometimes on his own dime, for doing that. And I gotta say, I admired the guy. I really do. I could see how someone could how their life could lead them down a path of just wanting to do that. And in an alternate universe, I care about so few things, but the things I care about so much that I could do that. I think in a different life could have been me.
Yeah, this is less of an endorsement for me on, listen, I think Deshaun Watson sucks too, but I think overall as a team that talent-wise on paper, especially the defense, is so much better than Jacksonville's. They can shut down this team. Like, I can just see another 20-17 game, 17-14 game. In all those scenarios the Browns cover, the Browns can even win by a field goal in this spot. I did see there was another allegation added to the civil lawsuit against Deshaun Watson. Tim, do you think the Browns are finding people at this point to try to do this to get him suspended? So they don't have to pay
That's
him?
my theory. Listen, Tim talked about being a truck driver. You look into this Jimmy Haslam, Flying J, this owner of the Browns. He ripped off hard-working Americans who ride those roads, the ones that Tim wants to mimic for a day and undermines their contributions and how
No,
and
I
what
don't.
their work is.
No, I don't undermine anybody's contributions. I have great respect for the people who truck in all the important stuff that we need to live on a day-to-day basis. I have such respect for the job they do. I'd like to do it for a day. That's how much I respect it.
Nice spin. So that's to say, I believe the Haslam family is finding people to now make allegations against him so they can have some way out of this thing. That's what I would do if I owned an NFL team and I was in that shit situation as the owner. At least I'd try to. Did you see that bit from Big Cat where he pretty much made the line that Deshaun Watson is now a better person than football player?
Oh my goodness. That's terrible. That's terrible. He's not going to be the starter in like 2 weeks' time if he keeps playing like this. That's just how it is.
The Browns going to eat their W's?
Stefanski will have his hand forced if he'd like to, I
don't think that Stefanski
him.
needs his hand forced. I think Stefanski doesn't want him in there. I think the organization is making them play Watson because they're paying him all the money.
Well, I think the guy who's won the Coach of the Year now 2 times the last 3 years has enough leverage to say, I'm just not going to play him.
Well,
I
don't think you know how the world works if you think that's the case.
I'm pretty confident that Stefanski can just say, I'm going to bench him. You're not going to fire him.
Do you think that Stefanski has that power, Geoff, to bench Deshaun Watson right now?
Maybe not today, but in a month, there is potential for him to have that sort of power.
If they're 0-4 and he says, I'm benching them, the ownership would not dare fire Stefanski over that. You kidding me?
Yeah, well, they're not 0-4 yet. They're 0-1. They're about to be 1-1 when they beat Jacksonville.
If Watson plays anything like he played this week, they're not going to win any of their games.
Stefanski might have the equity, like if he used his own people to send it out to like NFL media people that like he's standing his ground here with ownership and they're not letting him do it. And he's won those Coach of the Years. Like he has enough equity where the guy would be a free agent for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
It's not like he wouldn't have a job if he ended up getting fired in this situation. But listen, if they can get out of paying him this money, and if it forces him to quit football because he's not the starter anymore, then maybe that's a route that they need to explore. But as long as they're paying him this money, the organization is going to be hard on them to play him, or at least get him out there to get hurt so he doesn't have to play. And insurance can.
But then it could be one of those situations like if their season goes to shit, where it's like, yeah, you're benched for the last month, sort of like Russell Wilson. We don't want you getting hurt and having.
Yeah, but there's nothing they can do with him. If they cut him, it's $175 million of dead cap next year.
Maybe next year you just cut it and say, I don't care.
What is the salary cap?
I don't know. It seems like it fluctuates team to team how it works.
I mean, the Broncos got out.
Okay, so hold on.
A year earlier than people said that they might actually be able to get out.
Sure, and they took a big cap hit.
Yeah.
The salary cap for the NFL, Tim, is $255 million, and then 175 of it is going to be dead. Could you even feel the team?
But it's already dead. But it's already dead. If he can't play, it's already dead.
I mean, Pat's got a point here.
But also, if he can't play, it's already dead. What does it matter?
Anyway, this is why I like the Browns this week, because the entire conversation is how dead that he is. It's like not like it was some big surprise that Watson came out was terrible. He was terrible to start last year too, and the Browns still won games. They're going to try to win games like the Jets won games last year.
And it adds what has happened to Watson. Like, it's so funny how we like to lift you up, tear you down, lift you up. Like, it just puts so much air in Baker Mayfield. Right. And you look back on it, and I mean, he had so much success early and then became like a national TV commercial guy. And he was so overexposed where even his own market started to hate him. Like, for other reasons as well, he didn't play great, but it seemed like everyone got sick of him. And Good for him. Holy shit.
Well,
Good for him.
it's funny because this would be the best case scenario for Lawrence as well in this game, because last year we just commented on how Lawrence didn't miss any time because he just continuously played through injuries and he was bad in a lot of those games. It's like, oh, you don't want to make the excuse that it was chalked up to injury, but that's basically what happened to Baker in his final year in Cleveland. He just played through. He had I don't know if it was a broken collarbone, but there was something wrong with his collarbone. He was just bad. And the moment that it healed and he went to the Rams, it bounced with the Panthers, now on the Bucks, like he's been fine.
Fine. Yeah. And to think where the Browns would be with just this Baker Mayfield, their roster, and those draft picks back, and the money to sign other players. It's all revisionist history. My team's done dumber things at quarterback.
No, it hasn't.
Well, no,
No,
I'm
it
just saying
hasn't.
I know it wasn't dumber, but we let the all-time passing leader
Sure.
leave. So I've got a horror story in some ways as well, very different. Yeah, I mean, you're right, Pat. Come Sunday, I could easily see that I've bet the Browns because it's just been a week of like Deshaun's the worst, screw the Browns. It could get too far where I could pendulum, but right now I'm trusting the Jacks.
So I'm the only one on Cleveland. You two in the coin, both on Jacksonville. Oh, we're still in the early games. Vegas at Baltimore is the last one. So the Ravens are favored by 9.5, 41.5 is the total. Something is going on with Lamar, and John Harbaugh, Tim, won't tell us what it is.
I did not realize that.
Yeah,
in terms of injuries.
Yeah,
status?
he didn't. He was not at the facility on Monday, and then a reporter asked Harbaugh, "It's like, hey, what's wrong with Lamar?" He's like, "You'll find out when the injury report comes out on Wednesday." It's like, okay, it could be nothing, but it's just weird.
Yeah, that is unusual behavior.
Maybe
Not surprising. Lamar took way too many hits on Thursday night and ran way too often on Thursday night. That's a recipe for that's the type of game you play in the AFC Championship game. We have an off season to get better if you get hurt, not week one. I thought that was weird.
I'm so old I fell asleep, and I'm so embarrassed to admit it.
Do you think that Lamar, Tim, is going to end up with over 300 carries this year, which he is on pace for?
No, he's not. Oh my goodness. I'm going to take the Ravens here, and I'm going to tease the Ravens down. But yeah, it was concerning. Not for this game. I'm like capped this game easily. The Raiders played a very poor football game. The Raiders are not well coached. The Ravens are well coached. They've had a lot of time extra to rest. They should be fine. But I was concerned for the Ravens that, as they get in, when they play their big games against good AFC teams, their offense did not look like it was ready for prime time. And if that's the best they've got in terms of we're just going to have Lamar run around a lot, that's a recipe for disaster.
See, I'm with you. And I saw a lot of people point to the Ravens offense like, oh, look at this yardage. Look how good it was. I just watched the first half of that game. Every pass was at the line of scrimmage. And their offensive line sucks. So you said that Joe Alt was able to handle the Raiders D-line pretty well last weekend. There's no one on the Ravens who is probably going to be able to handle Max Crosby, Geoff. How about the rest of their defense? Did it impress you at all? Because I didn't. Listen, my deep dive on the Raiders' pressure rates were not high this week.
The pocket was pretty much clean. Herbert was able to release the football. But like I said, we got a lot of growing pains on offense. It's really hard to tell. They definitely, one of the two teams wore down in the fourth quarter at the line of scrimmage. That's for sure. Max Crosby, though, still had a really good game, Pat. I'm just referring to the individual times where he was lined up, the 11 pass snaps that he went one-on-one with Joe Alt. He did not sniff the quarterback. But you mix him up, you get him in on the interior, he caused havoc on plenty of plays. And like you said, he'll be able to do that against Baltimore. When they do Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins beside each other, it was a problem. It was a problem. Even with Slater and all. So yeah, they will be the problem. I thought the Ravens will be fine. They will be fine this year. But in terms of last year, I've been all about for the offseason, on all our preseason shows, regression in Baltimore. This game will be not a blowout. It will not be a blowout. I'm going to take the points in this game.
That's where I was leaning, but it's Baltimore. It's not double digits, and they run train on bad teams, and the Raiders are a bad team. So I'm just going to stick with that. I think that Lamar's fast enough to get away from some of these guys. Even if they do drop him 4 or 5 times, I think it'll be fine. And I do think this is the game where they really do try to make an emphasis to him to get Derrick Henry going. Because if you can't use him in this game effectively, what game are you going to use him in?
I don't know. Wait till the injury report comes out. Then you'll see.
Yeah.
I still, Antonio Pierce, though. I was thrilled when they hired him.
Okay, hold
You
on.
won the game. You won the game on that Thursday night. That 63-21 last year won you week 1 this year. That won you week 1. Won you week 1 this year. I believe
I'm not joking.
I agree with you. I genuinely agree with you.
I'm so happy what happened. And you beat the Chiefs on Christmas. Congratulations. You gave that guy the job. You gave that guy. You know who his top assistant is, Pat? Like his not coordinator, but like assistant head coach.
Some pit
Marvin
boss?
Lewis.
Oh, Marvin Lewis. I mean, that's actually a perfect guy to have with him, in fairness.
But how does it work? Because there's no way any of the guys on the Raiders staff would be like, we should have punted there. How does that happen? Aren't there a team of people being like, we can't punt this?
No, it's the Raiders. They most definitely did not hire like someone to figure this stuff out. They just cut costs. Like, here's Marvin Lewis. He's old. He's coached before. Listen to him. And of course, he's going to say punt.
Anthony Lynn. It was like from the Anthony Lynn, who was even a running back, not even a defensive player. Like, I don't know. I'm still flabbergasted by it. Congratulations. You hired like a motivator, fierce coach. Hired a defensive guy, or think's going to be an idiot. Listen, he can't even keep his finances in order.
So, dumber decision and or statement, Tim. I'm going to quiz you on this. Is it the punt from Antonio Pierce? Is it Lamar Jackson continuing to go on about how Isaiah Likely was inbounds when he was clearly not? Or this quote from Isaiah Likely after the game. Quote, I'd say this is probably the worst game we're going to play all year. So if this is the best they got, good luck in the postseason. I would rate the Chiefs' effort in that game like a C-.
I don't know if I go that low. I would say that the Chiefs played well, but they didn't play great. All 3 of those points are dumb. I actually think the Lamar going on about how it had to have been a touchdown is the dumbest, because that is objectively not true. The punt was an obviously terrible surrender, but there's a 1 in 100 chance that can work out for you. They can muff the punt.
We go 3 and out.
You
they
stop
get it back
3
in
and out,
the
get the
same
ball
spot.
back. The terrible decision, but it could actually work out for you. He was on the end line. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was out. Why are you still complaining about this? I can't begin to fathom how dumb that is.
Late games. We're here. Rams at Arizona. Arizona's favored by 1.5. The Rams sustained a bunch of injuries in that Sunday night game. 49.5 is the total. They lost 2 offensive linemen. Obviously, Puka Nacua has been placed on injured reserve. Although DeMarcus Robinson's not bad. He's clearly no Puka at the same time. They lost a bunch of guys on defense as well. I was actually really surprised, Geoff, that they're underdogs in this game.
That could be an emotional loss. I'm never totally surprised at what they put out there for the number. Arizona seems like they'll be a scrappy team, but I actually think Arizona's getting a little too much credit. I don't think they played as great as I felt like they played in the moment.
I agree. I thought they played well for about 17 minutes, and that was it. And they sucked.
And Kyler doesn't throw the ball. He can't throw the ball. So you can, it's not easy, but you scheme the way to just make him have to throw the ball 8 yards, and he's going to be in trouble, I think.
Tim?
I have Stafford and I have Cup, and I'm getting 1.5 against the team that was amongst the very worst in football last year and only played really well for a half last week. Take the Rams.
Yeah, so
I feel it's kind of easy.
And you got to remember, in this division, there's always the team that gives the other team problems, like how the Seahawks.
The Rams always blow the Cardinals out.
Yeah, they're 13-2 since 2017 against the
including
Cardinals.
a playoff game where they blew the Cardinals out.
Yeah. Like they kill them like every single time. The closest game that they've played, the Cardinals beat them 27-17 2 years ago, and they beat them 37
14 of the last 16 for the Rams.
Yeah. So the Sean McVay era has been very kind to the Rams over the Cardinals. Now you're getting points with them. I love that.
But the advanced line path, though, you're right. Like it moved 3.5 points because
there's no way when we picked the line on Sunday night, there was no way Arizona was close to favored.
Yeah, I don't even remember what we picked.
Probably Rams -3, which is probably what the line should be.
Yeah.
I think it was yesterday. So on Monday, when I made the boards originally, it was Rams by 1.
So the Puka news shifted it that much? Like I like
Yeah.
Puka. I think he's maybe it's just a whole collection of injuries headlined by the Puka injury, but it's not like we didn't know that he wasn't hurt on Sunday. I guess we did know he was hurt on Sunday.
I mean, it moved
That'd be a great question for Rob. Asking him like what goes through the process of resetting a line when an important player gets hurt. Like, what's the process? What's the thinking there?
Well, how many?
Worth half a point.
Yeah, how many guys? So. Left guard, let's see here. Steven Alavia has an MCL injury, is likely to land on injured reserve. Joe Noteboom, who started at left tackle in place of the suspended Aldrich Jackson, has a high ankle sprain. Starting right guard has a sprained ankle, and he's day-to-day. Starting right tackle. Okay, so, I mean, they did get hurt on 4 of the 5-0 line pieces, so I guess that does make sense. I probably should have looked into that a little bit more, but I still like the Rams better. Just that they have Stafford and McVay against the Cardinals, who could be fantasy fun, but just I don't trust them to win any game. And now you actually have to win this game. You can't just lose by a little to cover. Round of Rams?
I'm gonna pick the quarterback who I watched, like just my eyeballs. Like I'm picking the Rams here. It could end up being a trap, but I'm not betting Arizona.
Pittsburgh, Denver is next. Fields is likely to start again. That's per Mike Tomlin because Russell Wilson's calf is not all the way complete, but he'll stand on the sidelines, Tim, in all of his gear.
That's so obnoxious.
He was the emergency. He was the emergency quarterback. In fairness,
do most emergency quarterbacks dress?
I mean, it's Russell Wilson. He doesn't do things like a normal person.
I like Pittsburgh here.
Russell Wilson,
I will say,
might be the same as Greg from Greg is Not an Alien.
Is he taking human lessons?
Yeah, it does seem like someone who took human lessons and is now pretends to be a human.
I don't know how Bo Nix is going to be able to hold up to the nonstop pressure that the Steelers should bring to bear in this game. As long as Fields doesn't wreck the game, as he didn't wreck the game last Sunday, Pittsburgh's in a great spot to start 2-0.
I see. I agree with everything Tim says here. Just I don't know how the Denver offense can barely move against Seattle. What are they going to do against this defense? It just went into what everyone presumed was a tough spot and beat the shit out of the Falcons. Like the Falcons couldn't do anything offensively. If the Broncos couldn't do anything offensively against the Seahawks, what are they going to do here?
I'm not smart enough to have a different breakdown than either of you guys. Mike Tomlin, just high-end defensive coach, high-end defensive talent against a rookie quarterback early in the season on a team that I think is going to be shit anyway. Nails to you, Pat. You called it. I mean, I guess we'll get to the Falcons and we can make fun of them, but you just said, I'm betting the unit. Like, the Pittsburgh defense is the best unit in the game, and maybe there'll be a lot of games where that's just the reason to make the bet at spreads that don't feel like any kind of margin. So, Pittsburgh.
I guess the one counter to that was Denver's defense was actually really good against Seattle as well. It wasn't until Ken Walker really beat them down in the second half that they finally bent a little bit. Like, it was one big Geno run that no one expected, and then it was Ken Walker over and over and over again. Like, if they can force Fields into a mistake or two, which is very much on the table, I could see how Denver wins it. I'm taking Pittsburgh -3 on the road because, again, I think their defense is too good for Bo Nix to hold up to. But I can see how it goes the other way.
All Pittsburgh has to do, though, is not take those safeties. But anytime Pittsburgh takes the ball over their own 40 and the drive ends with a punt and it's going to require Bo Nix to go 85 yards, 80 yards, that's a win. And over the course of 4 quarters, I think I'll cover 3 points.
Cincy and Kansas City, the Chiefs, are favored by 6 points at home. 47.5 is the over-under. Tim, do you worry that Taylor Swift is getting all this backlash for hanging out with Patrick Mahomes' wife now?
I thought she didn't hang out with her at the game.
Well,
they're friends.
But they were in a box at the U.S. Open together when they were all hanging out. This is the most
They're
like
friends.
I read like a headline that came across my like Instagram feed. It was like a picture of some headline. So that's all I really know about the entire thing. But it seems like there's friction here now.
Yeah, because the
cares?
Swifties for Kamala are losing their mind.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's what
Although
it is.
I don't think Taylor has officially declared a position, even though I'm sure.
But that's what she's getting shit for. She goes, you can't hug Brittany Mahomes. Like, they're like demanding she makes her official endorsement.
Okay, well, so
because she's been.
Let's say she
Brittany.
does. Let's say she does make an official endorsement for Harris. Does that mean she can't be friends with someone who supports Trump? That's insanity.
Oh,
Exactly.
look, I saw Taylor Swift hug Brittany Mahomes. That must mean I have to vote for Trump now. Okay. Like, there's no Rube Goldberg machine being made here that you can do that with. Like, what are we talking about? She can hang out with whomever she wants to hang out with.
I guess you just put Taylor Swift in a headline and just like, that's click. So you say whatever you want to say. She looks great, by the way.
Okay. Listen,
Taylor.
last year, when did we, from a football perspective, when did she join the party? Like Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving, later in the year?
Oh, before that. You were defending her well before that.
No, but I mean, when did she start showing up to games? It was cold out. It was winter. Oh, did she look like a snack last week? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, for sure. I'm a fan. Before I'm established, I am a fan of hers. And getting to see her in her, I don't know, whatever you call that, her version of a Canadian tuxedo, man. Yeah, supporter. This is going to be, if she does want to like actually make her endorsement, I'm not like a political science guy like Tim, but I would argue like when you have that much influence, she should do it like a month out, like 3 weeks out of the actual election, not.
Or she's in the middle of a tour
out.
and wants to charge like $3,000 a ticket. So why alienate anyone?
Yeah, no. She should not make an endorsement. She is of the Michael Jordan level of like, doesn't make really any sense. And screw the Swifties for Kamala. Like her army of fans that are going to yell at her. They're psychopaths. So screw them.
Well, this is the interesting point of
Nance
this game.
Romo.
What's that?
It'll be Nance Romo.
Oh, good. Botox Romo? Oh, I didn't get your take on Brady. Did you watch any of it, or did you just watch Chargers the whole time?
Okay, yeah. So I didn't really see any of it. I watched a lot of the clips that got aggregated. It was really painful. I was really surprised. I expect him. He's Tom Brady. Like, I expect him to be kind of great at everything. Obviously, it's not easy. I thought Garion made an incredible point. Like, he's of like a Tom Cruise level celebrity where he's trying to like fit into a box. Like, he enters a room and it's like, what does this room need from me? I'm going to try to do it. But he is funny. He does have a sense of humor. These things are proven. I was totally shocked. Andrew Marchand, a very popular media reporter, I thought made an incredible point yesterday in that, like, let's be clear. Tom Brady, when he retired, he made it quite clear he didn't have any interest in doing this job. He didn't. But when that ended up happening, well, they offered him almost $400 million to do the job. And he said, I guess, yeah, now I'm going to do the job. In some ways, I'm going to make a link. John Rahm, for like a year and a half, said, I'm not doing that. And that could be negotiation, but he was very clear in like that he was a legacy player. He was a legacy player. But what happened? A check showed up. Make him, okay, I am no longer a legacy player. Like, that's So Brady, I don't think Brady ever envisioned wanting to do this. They paid him so much money where he's like, yeah, I guess I'm going to do it now. So hopefully he's got the heart to do it, and hopefully he gets better. But I didn't see it. He's in Dallas this week. He's doing Dallas Saints at 1:00.
Since we're just kind of dumping all random things in here instead of talking about Bengals and Chiefs, I want to ask you, do you think that there is any possibility that the PIF is meeting with PGA in New York right now, that they announce $1 billion deal on 9/11? Do you think that's possible?
That would be so messed up. That would be so messed up. If
I think
they announce a deal on
they would
9/11, can we put Neiman and a couple guys, Cam Smith, can we stack the President's Cup team?
I think they would hold back the announcement an extra day just not to have that image.
You say that, but I don't think that the PGA has a fucking clue, man.
That would be nuts. There's no way. Remember, like the pizza, some like jabroni local pizza shop made an insane 9/11 tweet and they canceled them. You cannot, the PGA cannot. There's no way. Not a chance. Rat Fink isn't even that dumb.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. So this game,
Oh.
it's Chiefs by 6. I don't know if T. Higgins is going to be back for the Bengals. The Bengals look terrible. Sure, the Pats D is fine and everything. This is just, is this then the ultimate bounce back spot, Tim, for Cincinnati, that they just win this game?
In theory, yes, but I got no faith that that's going to happen. We're going to tease the Chiefs down to a pick. I think the Chiefs are pretty live as a survivor pick, even though it's early to use them, because I just don't see the Bengals going in there and beating them right now. Burrow, I watched some more of the highlights of that game because I'm a sucker for punishment. I had to rewatch the Patriots and Bengals highlights on YouTube, and it's just like Burrow's throws were bad. Like, I don't know. Is he 100%? We'll see. I mean, this is the tough spot. Everyone talked about, although I questioned it, whether the NFC North was super strong. I'm still not so sure that they are as strong as people say they are. I could see the Bengals easily, Bengals, Browns easily going to 0-2 here together. And I think that's going to happen.
I don't know what to make of it. Like, I don't want to bury. It's not, listen, even if they lose this game, they're not dead and buried by any means. I feel like Cincinnati starts out pretty slowly most years under Burrow, Geoff, but it doesn't seem like it's not as many points as I would have thought, put it that way, especially with KC coming off a lot of rest.
I've got the exact numbers here. In the first 2 weeks of the season of the Burrow era, they're 1-8 straight up, 2-6-1 against the spread. To me, that is an indictment on the head coach. For some reason, they're just not ready to start a fight, the season-long fight. The spread was like 3.5, 4. Now it's 6. Maybe it even ends up higher. Yes, like lost the best of the number, so I'm not really interested in betting it for real, but I'm on the Chiefs. I'm on the Chiefs here, especially with the uncertainty of the playmakers on the Cincinnati Bengals and their porous run defense. They let Pacheco get going, and then the Chiefs got to just, keep you off balance. I saw Kevin Clark say something which really stung, but he could be right. Like, I don't know. If the Chiefs truly hit on these new playmakers, and the jury is still out, and the rest of us need to start a new league.
As somebody who desperately wants the Chiefs to erase all the Patriots records, I'm here for that.
They might even be getting Hollywood Brown back this week too, which they didn't have on opening night. So here's some.
Also, this is like a bye, and the Chiefs coming off of essentially a mini bye. What is Reed's record? What are Reed's records coming off a bye?
Extra time
no, because they're coming off a mini bye, right? They played week 1 on Thursday, so this is like coming off a bye to them. And Reed coming off a bye has fantastic numbers.
So I have no real logic in terms of what I saw, but I'm not a professional handicapper. I don't even know what's going on half the time. So maybe my eyes aren't the best thing to look at here. But here are 2 trends from the past, Geoff, that point to Cincinnati. The Bengals are 17-9 against the spread when Burrow is an underdog in a game, and unders are 15-10 in those games. And Kansas City has covered, including the playoffs, 7 consecutive games. An 8th straight would make them just one of 5 teams to do that since the beginning of 2019. The most recent team to do it were the 2022 Titans from week 3 to week 11.
Okay, so I guess that goes both ways. I don't know how many times they played Mahomes in their whatever bounce back Bengals stat is.
I mean, they've been underdogs every time they've played the Bengals, and what they beat them outright twice. So, including the playoffs.
I'm taking Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kansas City too. I was trying to talk myself into the Bengals, and I couldn't get there.
Who do the
Sunday.
Bengals play next week? Like, who do they have to avoid the disaster start with?
Well, hopefully,
potentially?
maybe it's a loser leaves town match, and it's Cleveland. Maybe that could be the case.
Tim, next week, week 3, doubleheader Monday night.
Oh, it's about time.
Washington, Cincy, Jacksonville, Buffalo.
Oh, they get Washington next
Jacksonville.
week? All right, they can start 0-2
Yeah.
then. That's fine.
Finally, I like the doubleheader. We were talking about this. Like usually the doubleheader is in week 1 or week 2. We got to wait till week
7:30 and
3.
8:15 are the starts.
You have a doubleheader in week 3. Okay.
Also, I think all Monday Night Football games should be West Coast games. I enjoy it being really dark where I'm at and tuning into the TV and seeing light. It makes me feel better.
Yes, it's the same with the Super Bowl. I love when the Super Bowl is out west because they play at least the first half in sunlight. It's the same with the World Series. The World Series should always be played in sunlight. It's great to see that West Coast teams when they host games. It's sunny when it starts.
Sunday Night Football. Caleb Williams now in prime time against CJ Stroud. Texans are favored by 6.5. 46 is the over-under. I don't know how you could have watched week 1 unless you really think that the Bears defense is awesome, Geoff, and not take these and not lay the points with the Texans, because the Bears offense was abysmal in that game. And now Roma Dunze is going to be out. Keenan Allen might not play. It's funny, with all the draft picks that end up coming through, you end up with Caleb Williams starting at quarterback, DJ Moore on the outside, and they might have to play like DeAndre Carter, your guy, as their second receiver, and Velouz Jr., who they took in, the second round 3 years ago, who sucks. He was like 40 years old at the time.
In this moment in time, the Texans seem like the significantly better team, better roster, better spot, better health. The Bears just look bad. They won the game. You'd hope maybe them winning the game would create some level of like a spread break here, but anyone with eyeballs wasn't like, they weren't allowing that. Like the odds makers were not fooled by the Bears winning last week. I'm taking Houston. This could be my super lock.
That's the thing that I worry about, Tim. Does this just seem way too obvious?
Maybe. They're also on my teaser, and I like the Texans. The spread probably is too high. I mean, these teams had pretty close to the same win total 2 weeks ago. Now one's like 7 into the other. Like, that seems a bit high, but
I could argue they're actually getting some spread value, because if the game actually finished as it was trending, what do you think the spread is in this game?
which game? The Colts game or the Bears-Titans game? Because
let's say the
could
Titans
easily have
ended
lost
up
their game.
Let's say the Titans didn't throw a pick 6 and didn't have a punt blocked or returned.
Yeah, it could have been like 20-6.
Like, the spread might be 8 points.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. If they don't score the defensive and the punt return touchdown, they lose 20-6 to the Titans in the opening week. Is the spread way higher? The answer is probably yes.
Not how much way higher it can get.
If it was
only 1 week,
I would say that anything that would be over 7 in this spot would be way higher if they're giving you 6.5
agreed.
right now.
It's such a key
if
number.
You go through a touchdown.
I can't be talked off it for the moment, Texans.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Just be careful if you lose all your money during the day, that this is the game where you try to get it all back. Something wonky is going to happen.
And then right.
Like the 1 week burial of Caleb Williams is all over. Turns out he's actually amazing and wins this game for them. It's basically what CJ Stroud did in week 2 last year.
You're onto something, Pat. And Sunday Night Football, Caleb Williams makes those like insane ceiling plays in front of that audience. I'll be going gaga.
Monday Night Football. Atlanta against Philly. Philly's favored by 6.5 at home. 47 is the over-under. Kirk Cousins looked bad, and he looked hurt, is what I'll say about Atlanta. And they have no offensive line. Or TJ Watt is just completely unstoppable. But I don't remember him being in the backfield on 100% of plays against all the other teams. He had, 2 strip sack fumbles taken back, Tim?
It was the most dominant performance any player had all weekend. It really was. Yeah, I'll tease the Eagles as the last part of my teaser. I think that makes sense here. And I think this number is still too high, but I can't bring myself to take those points, even though I think that's got to be deck with it. No, 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 I'm not. I'm going to take the Eagles, even though Atlanta's probably the right side here. I'm going to take the Eagles. Ugh.
I actually feel the same way as Tim. Like, I do feel like Atlanta is the right side, but I'm taking Philly as well, Geoff.
I'm literally just covering my face and nodding my head because Tim verbalized my exact thoughts. And seems like we all feel this way. Spread seems high, but the Eagles do put on some pressure. And yes, it was Watt, but I get the feeling Kirk Cousins won't survive anyone's pressure.
He can't move. This is like the whole thing. Like, why he looked like Aaron Rodgers. They both looked like statues.
This is tough. I'll take Atlanta, but I don't have a clue.
That's gross.
Just seems high. Yeah, I don't. Monday Night Football. I feel like I was doing something.
You all right there?
Yeah, no, I feel like I have something to do on Monday. I don't want to. Sorry, I didn't mean to think out loud.
Cash all your big winnings from the Procore Championship, you mean?
I didn't bet. I bet a couple guys, but I didn't bet enough for any big winnings.
Who'd you bet?
Who did I bet? Oh my God, you're gonna make fun of me.
I bet Mitchell, Cole, and Hoagie, and Svensson.
Okay, so I bet Cole, Hoagie, Hostler. Don't laugh.
He was doing a fucking wine tasting today.
I bet Thorbjorn Olesen. No, oh my God, Michael Thorbjornsen as well. Those were my bets.
I bet Bobby Mack, Nikolai Højgaard, and Hisa Tune over in Europe as well. The Irish Open. See that this is my favorite part of golf during NFL season. That because I get up so early to do the shows early, especially on Sundays and over the weekend where I'm just not normally up at those times. I love that like the Euro swing is in full effect with like Rory in the field and Lowry in the field. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and that course truly one of the best courses. Some people say on earth. And that will be great to watch Sunday morning. I believe that. I also bet a guy because Sky tweeted to bet him who was 750 to 1.
I also bet Nick Hardy in Napa as well. So we'll see. So some of the top guys just go and get wasted, and then they don't play so well.
Yeah, it's the wives major. It's the wives major.
Survivor picks, Geoff. You can't pick, but Tim and I can.
My God.
Who are we taking? Who are you taking?
Up.
You're taking the Chargers?
Yeah, I'm not going to have many cracks to use them, and I just can't possibly imagine Carolina winning. So
I'm trying to think through. Like Dallas will get both the Giants and they're going to get Washington, 4 times over the course of the year.
It's a great spot to take the Texans.
It is a really good spot to take the Texans. That Sunday Night Football, like rookie first overall pick breakout does worry me a little bit. I'm going to take Baltimore. And it's going to look real stupid if Lamar's out or something like that.
That's definitely the chalk pick, but I totally
I don't think so. I think the Chargers are going to be the highest pick team. And I think that could blow up in everyone's face. Yeah.
I kind of thought I was basically checking in the big blind with a pair of kings by taking the Chargers here. But maybe I'm doing something very obvious.
We think you're
but they're on the road and like there's another couple of other huge home spreads instead of taking a road spread.
Oh, I hate what's happened. I hate that the Chargers are even an eliminator like conversation. I don't feel comfortable.
I'm an ally, Geoff. I'm an ally for you.
Okay.
Super locks of the week. This came down. There's a few of them, so I probably won't have problems coming up with my best bets. We'll see if they win. So 1 and 2 anyway. So it's not like they were actually good bets. I went 9 and 4 for the week and put 2 losers in the 3 that I picked on the show. So that's always fun. But obviously I like Cleveland. I mentioned that. I like Washington -1.5. I like Seattle -3 on the road. I like Dallas -6.5. I like Pittsburgh -3 as well, and I like the Rams -1 or +1.5. I'm going to take Cleveland +3.5 on the road in Jacksonville is my super lock. Stop pulling a Tom Brady, you guys, and say something.
Go Tim.
Having trouble.
Sorry, okay. I'll go before Tim because, I don't. I was gonna make a joke there about Cam and using a team, and then other people can't use the team, but I didn't have the joke and I screwed up. So white flag. I am debating between Minnesota and Houston and Seattle. But I
like that I talked you onto Seattle because you were going to bet on the Patriots. Now you're super locking Seattle.
No, I was never betting the Patriots. If you re-listen, there was never a moment. I might have missaid something, but I thought the Bengals were so pathetic that I don't know what the Patriots honestly even did other than get easy runs with Ramondre.
Jacoby Brissett ran the ball 7 times.
Between the Steelers, Patriots,
Oh shit!
and the
Forgot about
Texans,
Pittsburgh.
I'll take Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I like that.
Justin Fields -3 on the road is your super lock.
Playing the defense.
Well, it worked last week. We'll see if it ends up working out this week. Your free money for the week is San Francisco 6-point teaser. San Francisco pick 'em. Chargers -1 point. Baltimore -3.5. Kansas City pick. Houston -1 point, and Philly -1 point.
Sure is.
It's a lot of games.
Yeah, I know.
Did you take any dogs the other way?
No, I took everybody down this week.
So this is like the week 2 chalk teaser. You think you figured it out? This is death. I hope you win, but
How many farms?
You win 6 farms on this one.
This one's a 6-1. Yeah, I could see like 3 of these teams losing outright. Like Cincinnati wins and the Bears win, and then
this parlay is just not hitting because there's no way they're letting the books muck the favorites together, and like they're just not going to let it happen. Just doesn't happen.
Well, as
It's
long as-
actually a very bad strategy you've employed here.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think it's hip to be square, Jeff.
At least you acknowledge last week you said you had a great read on the board, and this week you seemed a little more.
No,
like,
this week I don't really have a great feel for the board.
but you put 6 games on a teaser.
I felt like they were just out there begging to be teased together.
You might as well throw the Rams in there. Take them up to 7.5. That's the leg right there.
No.
Why not?
If anything, I would take Baltimore off. I wouldn't add anybody to it.
See, we forgot to build a teaser on the best bet show last week. We'll do that with Cam and Rob, and we'll each try to.
Well, how can you when you all want to have the same teams?
Well, we tried
can't
to do it last year where each of us got to pick a leg of a 6-point teaser to put on, but then Cam wanted to add like 5 teams to the teaser every single time.
Honestly, the look like if you don't allow Cam to the moment like you or Rob say this is my gold pick for him to say, "Oh, that's my other mineral," like it would just crush him. It would just crush him.
And he never wants to pick first. I noticed that.
Yeah, because he wants to hear what we say first. All right, that'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. I want to thank the Coin for being in studio. I want to thank all of you at home for watching, or maybe you're not at home. Maybe you're in the building. I don't see you, but you can be very, very sneaky, sir. This I do not know. But anyway, thanks for being here. Smash the like and sub to the channel. Rate and review on Apple and Spotify. Congratulations to the winner, once again, of the $500 giveaway. And use code MAYO at Underdog Fantasy to get a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. Isn't that right, Tim Undercust?
Tim and August.
That's not my name, but yes, that is what I hear.
And you can always get the advanced version of the show in the Mayo Media newsletter, completely free to join, down in the description right now. All of those betting trends, our cheat sheets, and other fun stuff, including a Thursday night football play. And I'll have my rankings out on Thursday, I believe, in the newsletter, maybe even on Wednesday night for an advanced screening of the Best Bet Show, if that's something you want to get into as well. Geoff, what else are you doing this week?
My wife.
My wife?
Away today. So I'm putting 3 kids to bed. That's what I'm doing immediately after this.
Then you're going to watch the debate.
I will be watching the debate. I'm like 5 straight nights of football into the debate. Like this a nice.
Not at
Come
9
down?
p. It's not at 9 p.m. though Eastern. Like, come on, people have got to go to bed.
Will you be vaping some nicotine?
If I get 3, listen, my 2 oldest, they will fall asleep in my bed like to the TV. Like mom's away. Yeah. So once I get everyone settled, yeah, I'll be doing more than vaping probably.
Will you tell your children that you got knocked out of the Survivor contest in the first week, or is that also going to be held back from them?
I still have one team left. I had two. I lost one. They guess what, Tim? Like they don't care.
Can you wear the hat next week?
I don't have the hats in Vegas. My friends signed up for me.
Oh, okay.
And when I don't
I thought
win,
you got a hat when Circa was generous enough to bring us down for the Masters.
oh, sorry, I have a Circa sports hat. Not like when you sign up for Survivor, they give you a Survivor hat. I thought that was the hat he was referring to. I love my Circa. I like my Circa hat. I don't remember what Tim was saying, but yeah, I'm excited to watch the debate.
Tim said, use code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy to sign up right now and give the show money so we can keep doing it. Thanks, everyone, for doing that. Thanks, Tim, for saying that.
I am, if nothing, very loyal.
It's true. I get my PXG, or I got the PXG irons that they sent me for the ad spot, Geoff. It's like rocket.
I bet you they look so cool.
Tim loves PXG.
Yeah, I'm the one who has PXG irons now. I had the driver, now I got the irons.
Flushing it.
Oh yeah, it's like rocket.
It's
fuel coming
extreme
off these
golf.
things. Playing the XFL of golf, my PXG irons. You can go to a fitting today and take the PXG challenge. If you skip the ads, now there's an in-show read for it. So PXG, very happy about that. Thank you all for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience. Experience.